snow fell cold on a bitter night. John was gone for the morning light. They blame Karen, but it don't sit right. Too many secrets hid from sight. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town. Proctor's story shifts and sways. Cameras vanish, records fade. The Alberts toast while the doubts grow strong. The folks still fight, won't be long. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town. Proctor's story shifts and sways. Cameras vanish, records fade. The Alberts toast while the doubts grow strong. The folks still fight, won't be long. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town.
Hey everyone, welcome.
And we're back.
Backo. Oh, nice rest break. Got to stretch the old back out, lay down for 20 minutes and just sleep. No.
That's
Felt like 2 minutes.
Oh, I got tricked
you're-
by a feral, so that's something fun.
You
Apparently
got
his
tripped
dad.
by feral?
No, I got tricked by my youngest, most feral. His dad had said that there was mashed potato and meatloaf as leftovers for lunch. I'm running down and he's like, I'm hungry. And I was like, well, what do you want? I don't have much time. And he's like, could you put a pizza in? So I'm going over to Mr. Mo to give him a hug and have him protect me from math, but also to let him know that I put a pizza in. And he's like, I told him no. And I was like,
Ooh.
well,
That sneaky little guy.
yeah. So,
Cool.
but in his defense, he was pursuing eating the leftovers. He just didn't like them. So then he pursued to get pizza.
I would take meatloaf and mashed potatoes over pizza any day. Any day.
I haven't
of the
had meatloaf in the longest time.
Really?
I made a double
Staple here
batch.
in the Midwest, yeah.
It's a staple here
Yeah.
I don't.
in this house.
In this
Yeah, but I'm single. It's a lot to make for yourself. It's
Yeah, it is. But you can make them in little patty portions. So you like have a meatloaf
That's
or
crazy,
in
Mark.
muffin
What are you
tins.
saying?
And
What are
then,
you saying? Just make a big one and then you get to
I
eat off of
know.
it for like a
I was
week.
just gonna.
It's
I
amazing.
agree with
well, but the
Valhalla.
crispy bits are the best. And then
Great
you get stuck with the
leftovers.
yucky middle piece.
No.
Well, yeah, you
yeah.
have to eat the
Oh,
whole
we
thing.
call it fake hair in Denmark, like a hair.
Oh, rabbit
Oh,
hair.
that's interesting.
No, a rabbit is
Uh,
not a hare, and a hare is not a rabbit.
Fine,
What is the difference
whatever the
between
hell
a
they
rabbit and
are.
a hare?
What? Are you...
One is called a hare, and another one is called a rabbit.
Thank you, Baker. Welcome to Wildlife Adventures with Baker Attenborough.
But no, I haven't had it. My mom, she did the best gravy with it. Oh, there's a lot of things I really haven't eaten that much since my mom died because mama's food is just the best.
It is.
Yep.
We
When I had
had
surgery, I asked my mom to make me a meatloaf. Back in the day, all the time.
We have those Danish meatballs, which is way superior to the Swedish horse meat crap.
Okay, so do you not use Lincolnberry then?
Do I look
Well,
like I live under a bridge and hunt small
do
children?
I look like I'm anything but a stupid American that thinks all Europe is the same? And where is Harry Potter?
But barbecue season? No. Oh,
Baker doesn't like barbecue.
I'm not a big fan of it. No, but no, we have these meatballs called frikadeller, and my mom, I miss her. She used to, when there was a big price, you make it with veal and pork, minced meat, and she always used to make a ton of them. And there's nothing better than when you had been out doing something and came home to her and saw that stash in the fridge, and you just had a hand meatball, as we call it, just up. Oh,
I am
I
stealing
miss my mom.
hand meatball, but not for possibly good use.
Yes, onion, allspices, spice.
We have all sorts.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
but,
allspice.
You mix it with that salt, pepper, a couple of eggs, a little bit of flour to make it stick together, and then you fry it on the
Not
pan. My mom used to
breadcrumbs?
fry it and then bake it off so it wouldn't go too dry in the middle. Oh,
Yeah, we
Yeah,
use
that's
breadcrumbs, not flour.
oh, you're weird.
Well,
We
maybe.
try.
Sometimes I use milk-soaked bread. Take like 2 or
What?
3 slices of bread, soak them in milk.
Oh,
It's a texture thing for me. It's the bread's all gloopy. I couldn't do it. I'm sure it
Well, you
is.
don't leave it all together. You like
No, but
break it
then
up
you
real
have
good.
to touch it to move. Oh,
oh my God. No. You're so cute.
I don't know if I've ever had lingonberry.
Would I rather eat what? Did you ask me a question? No. Might be coming up. Frikadelle? Yes, not fricka, but frikadelles. Oh. Would you rather eat 20 Swedish meatballs or have 79? I would get a hematoma if any of this happened to me.
that's actually what I was doing when this man was talking math and my brain took a hike. I was emptying out my inbox of the 3,000 messages I have.
Well, wrong channel because we have foodies when we're bored.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Minnie.
Grew up on lingonberry. I never tasted lingonberry in my life because I'm not a weirdo and I'm not Swedish.
Wait, isn't that the flavor
not
of Swedish
years
fish?
No, lingonberry is a berry.
No,
I have no
I
idea.
get that,
actually.
but I think
that might be
they
a
are
thing.
flavored with Lincolnberry, I thought, but I could be
No,
very
no.
wrong.
Normally, when we of course have the superior herring.
Danish
so,
fish.
You normally if you get like what do you call it?
Baker, they're gummies. They're not fish.
Oh, Swedish fish. Oh, I don't know. I don't eat that crap.
He was about to
I
go on a
eat-
tirade about how they have better herring.
And I
off
was
the
like,
same
I'm gonna,
coast.
You
I'm gonna
know-
desist.
When we have our herring in what is it called? Fermented herrings.
Schlafmilk or something.
we-
I don't know.
if
Some
you
weird
get the-
word.
If you get the clear ones, there's like whole peppercorns and onions in them. Or if you get the ones I like, it's in a curry sauce. Oh, those
Wait, they're fermented
with
in a curry sauce?
a boiled egg on it. Oh,
You lost me
No
at
wonder
egg.
you're single, man. I can smell you through the internet. That's
Everyone
terrible.
loves that.
Oh, boiled
No
egg
one-
and pickled herring with curry sauce.
That's good.
That's not third base. That's go eat a Tic Tac. Do you have double mint? Mentos?
Yeah. But no, but you have your rye bread, and then you have your curry herring, and then you put you have a boiled egg and put it on top. Oh, that's nothing better. Oh,
It sounds like something Gollum would eat.
I'm instead of bringing anything, I'm just gonna
Potatoes.
bring different kinds of herring this time for the tasting.
I would like to respondez-vous. RSVP no to that. Thank you. Just now. Respondez-vous, s'il vous plaît? No.
It sounds gross.
No,
It sounds gross.
Non.
I've never seen lutefisk. Never. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of weird dried fish or something.
I think they
think
soak
maybe
it in
Norwegians
lye and it
eat it.
becomes like jello.
Oh, it's
I don't.
oh.
Ooh.
I follow it.
Oh, that looks terrible.
I got
Why
I
would
got
you eat this?
then check out eels in jelly. That's British.
Ah.
That's weird.
Yeah, I saw that with the best darn food review show ever, and guys were just it's like, and it's
Yeah,
all
it's horrible.
icky. And I'm like,
What is
are we still
gooseberries? I
poor?
don't know.
Gooseberries?
Testicles on a
Those are-
goose.
No. They're an actual berry. I don't know where they're from. but I've
Rocky
heard of them
Mountain
before.
goose oysters.
No, not herring.
Citizen Dane, you're just making things up. That's not even a word. What is that? Zolland?
Sealand.
Why is there a
It's
J?
it's if you want it correctly, it's the Devil's Island, but they call it Shellan. But it's
Shit.
what you call Sealand. Thank you so much,
I've never
Citizen
heard
Dane.
of Sealand.
I don't think we call anything sealant.
You never heard about Sealand? Is well.
I've heard of
I
New
don't
Zealand.
know anything I can't see from my house. It's communist.
Are you good?
Pretty much. Welcome to America.
Are you saying Sealand or Zealand?
I'm saying Sealand. That's how. In Denmark, we don't call it that. We call it Sjælland because
How
the
do we spell it
JH
here?
makes a J sound. So it's Sjælland. But
not
in
a H
English,
anywhere.
you pronounce it Sealand.
Sealand.
But we call it the Devil Island because that's where our capital is, and it's the island next to Sweden. So
Isn't that
Okay,
where
they
we
are
keep
suffering.
the orcas? Sealand? Isn't that where we keep the orcas?
Not Free Willy. Get Elijah Wood.
Sealand? I've never heard of a place called
Thank you,
Sealand.
Citizen Dane.
Oh, Valhalla, I am in the same boat.
Marinated
container
herring, sorry,
shipping
not fermented
company?
herring. Yeah, that's correct. When is court back in session? Well, within the next half hour. It was set to be back 15 minutes ago. So this guy has the car going 19 miles per hour at Trooper Paul's impact point. Well, Trooper Paul's impact point was at 12:45, so the car was stationary in the garage at that point. Jelly eel is weird, but we also got something similar here with herring, and I'm just not a fan. No, jelly is weird.
Hey, Sealand's kind of awesome, actually. Sealand was founded as a sovereign principality in 1967.
No, that's another
And,
Sealand.
Listen, how many Sealands do you think we have over here?
Apparently a bunch. Is it New Zealand or Old Zealand?
Well, New Zealand is named after it. Well, it's not because that's the other Sealand, but
So you're saying Zealand, not Sealand.
Sealand. It's the island Copenhagen is situated on.
Like how Valhalla is like, you're trying to lie to me.
They have Sealand in Holland as well. That's the
Why are
same
you guys?
Why?
Why are you all interchanging your Z's and S's?
Seriously, you're killing us.
Because we're
We
talking a
are-
different language. Mister, everything is pronounced exactly how it's spelled. Sword.
That's why I'm trying to figure out how it's spelled. Baker.
Again, if you all
figure it
just converted to American, we would all understand. Go America 4th of July.
Just making up words, pretending like I'm supposed to be able to understand your made up words.
To be fair,
It's
I
crazy.
make up like a crap ton of words, so I don't feel like I can throw a stone on that one.
But actually, our Sealand was plowed out of Sweden by a giant.
Oh,
That was nice of him.
That's That's totally true. And
Hey, it makes more sense than this guy's testimony.
and north of where I am, the largest rock in Denmark is, and that was a giant who lived on an island outside who was really mad at church bells, so she tossed it at the church.
Brennan.
She missed it.
Luckily for her.
Oh Lord,
the
let's
church.
get back into this.
Do you guys have lifting stones?
No, that's more Scotland.
Well, I knew Scotland did.
Yeah, we are so evolved that we have barbells and stuff like that.
So we fall.
Again, Scottish people, kind of like the north of England, where that's a genetic modified race to keep the Scots out of England. That's why they speak weird.
Dr. Welcher, when
You
we
guys,
left
we had
off,
to
you've
get these
given us
for Ella's party.
your opinion on this slide. Could we proceed?
No,
to
Finland
slide
is
35, please.
way north.
Slide 35.
I believe the next slide is 35. Okay.
Oh gosh.
Now, when we look at this slide, I'm going to ask you to zoom in, and if we can start from left to right, and we can identify each category as you discuss it, and explain to us the importance of the columns.
So we already touched on this from left to right. The first column,
From the windows
Is
to the
the-
walls.
continuous running clock. Second column is where I converted it to minute and seconds. You can see we're on trigger 1162.2. This is the second trigger. The particular boxes that are highlighted are where there's change. For example, in the upper right, when you're transitioning from drive to neutral to reverse. And then I already discussed this a little bit, but where the wheel's slipping, you can see you have high acceleration pedal application, increase in the RPMs. But when you look at the effects on the vehicle, you can see that it's accelerating less. So that's indicative of slippage of the wheels. And then I simply show at the bottom the math.
Can someone tell me what is the wheel slipping on? Because we have had established by the Commonwealth that there was hardly any snow on the asphalt.
Was it the cat?
Oh, did Valhalla stroke out or did my stream stroke out?
Whatever his numbers
No,
don't
it was-
come out.
It was him.
It's
So
I wish some. Well, I can't wait for Leslie.
I use to derive all that. So again, we touched on most of this.
Probably
It's the
the
same
defense.
slide you saw before, just to show how corrected for the speed.
If you could zoom in for a second, I want to ask you a question about the RPM column.
RPM column, go ahead.
If you could zoom in.
Oops.
You see in the last line, the last piece of data captured, the RPMs changed from 3,200 to 3,300.
Correct.
And the accelerators is fair to say, is that depressed? What's the way you characterize that?
Sustained.
How would you characterize 74? What does that mean?
I mean, it's 3/4 of full throttle. It's 74% of full throttle.
If above it says
Sorry. We have the exact same, almost exact same acceleration, accelerometer depression.
With 1,000
goes from-
RPM difference.
yeah, how does it?
The RPM
increase
difference
it?
is here it increased 300. Then it increased 1,000. Then it increased 600. Then it decreased 300, and then it increased 100. Within that's not how an engine works. If you keep feeding it gas, it'll go up, 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 up. It won't fluctuate. Well, maybe if you have the slippage here, that should be a slippage if between these three numbers. There should be wheel spinning here. If he says it's indicative here of the wheels turning, it only goes up by 700 here. Here's 1,000. So here the wheels are spinning. But they should also be spinning here because that's 600 RPMs.
Yeah, it doesn't really equal out until the 3200 and then to 33.
And again, I don't know how a gearbox in a Lexus is, but I only have one reverse gear. If I put that at 3300, it'll scream like a banshee.
Yeah, but it won't go. I mean, I haven't tried to go as fast as I can backwards, but I would think there would be a limiter of some sort. Although, I don't know cars.
Well, at some point it would hit a limiter, but the entire street would have been woken up by a car going at 3300,
Yeah.
especially. We know it. We learned from the last one that it has a very low idling point. This is
Yeah, that's
five times the revs that it normally drives by. It's below 1,000, and now it's 3,000. And again, if you're pushing one gear, I don't know if it has a sequential gearbox that can put it in multiple what do you call it? Reverse gears.
I think
But
reverse only has one gear here.
Yeah, and if it has one gear, then this would be screaming like crazy. Imagine going 3,300 RPMs in first gear in your car. If you can if you drive a stick and you press it all the way up there, the engine would be screaming. Val has mini strokes all day. Minimize those empty columns to the left. Speed is all we need, brother. I know where he's going, though. Yeah, we all know where he's going, but again, it to me just doesn't make sense. But hey, I'm slow. And Mr. T-Rex, does that car have a CVT transmission? Because that is the only explanation. If it has a traditional transmission, there's only one single reverse. I don't know.
74.5, it drops to 73.5, and then back to 74. Why is the RPM higher than above?
So there's, again, the data is referred to as being asynchronous. You're reporting it at particular times, but the computer's scanning the network for the data. So it's not all on exactly the same time step. Not only that, but there's frequently, I'm sorry.
So now you can't even trust the data?
now everything is on Tokyo time drift.
There frequently is a delay from when you step on the accelerator pedal to when that translates to increased RPM at the engine. It takes a little time to build it up or take it down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So similar to what we did on the first one, basically.
Isn't Wolfram Arca a Lexus expert? I bet he'll be having something to say about this. I don't know if he's an expert. I believe one of them has done something with, I'm not sure it's Lexus, but I think it's Toyota, but it's the same interior. It's just the trimming is fancier on a Lexus.
What we did is we took all the text stream data that we had, which includes the shifting, the forward, the reverse, and the steering. Again, there was a tiny bit of leftward steer, and put that into a simulation program where we're simulating what the Lexus will do. So we've taken into account the mechanical characteristics, the steering response of the Lexus. So this is to show what it.
My theory has always been the tires were spinning in the snow. There's no snow. There's not enough snow that you would be spinning. We know this because we've seen the videos and we have been told by a meteorologist at that point there was less than 3 inches deposited that day. So there is not enough snow to make her tires spin that much. And again, why would it start spinning in the middle of a traction? I just don't get it.
Represents on the left-hand side. So each one of these little hash marks, a different color, represents 10 feet. The red lines show the extent of motion. Remember what I said, initially pulled forward, then backed up, past its initial spot, and then went backwards further distance. So what this shows is where we simulated this in a program called HVE. So that's the vehicle, the Lexus pulling forward. and then it accelerated in reverse, past its initial starting position, and came to rest right there.
Doctor, when you say it came to rest
Yeah.
there, do you
I'm
have
sorry.
data that the defendant's Lexus stopped there?
No, it did not come to rest. That I misspoke. That's
Yeah.
where the text stream data ends. As you can see here, it's still going.
It was a 21 Lexus.
It's still going approximately 23 miles an hour when that ends.
You'll have to zoom in on that so the jury can see what you're referring to.
Can we overlay that on the property to scale?
Yeah,
that
because
doesn't look like it.
then if we go by what Jen said, she was at the flagpole. We know Jen has testified she was at the flagpole. So if she was at the flagpole and moved forward 34 feet, then gunned it in reverse 53 feet, she would be, how much is it from the flagpole to the mailbox? I think that's around the same distance.
And if she was still traveling at 24 miles an hour, she's not going to.
She would be slamming into a Jeep with a plow.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. It'll take it will take a Lexus this speed in perfect conditions, 80 feet to go from 24.3 miles per hour to 0. So she would have been even past Fairview 34. And no one saw that when,
Yeah, I mean, I would think you would hear this. Someone
again,
would be
as I
like, hey,
mentioned-
my car.
The text stream's taking a window of data. It doesn't take anything outside the window. You can see that when we account for the wheel slippage, that the vehicle at the time of the last data point, again, is at 74% throttle, 3,300 revolutions per minute, and is going backwards approximately 23.9 miles per hour. And you can see it's traveled a total distance backwards of 53 feet back from where it initially started, or if you consider where it pulled forward 34 feet.
yeah, this is what he's saying.
Initially
She
started.
moved 34 feet forward and then she guns it backwards. But it's 53 feet from her initial start point. So that's 20 feet behind the spot she started from, which, according to Jen McCabe, is at the flagpole. She saw her at the flagpole. So 20 feet further behind and still traveling 24.3 miles per hour. Would, if she slammed the brakes at that point, would send her straight into Higgins' Jeep that they haven't mentioned this time around.
Feet and then backed up 53 feet. Add those two together from the point it pulled all the way forward. So this is 10, 20, 35 forward. And then it'll go 10, 20, 30, 40, 53 back
No.
for a total of 87 feet.
Why does he have a 1 and a 10? What does that mean?
Why is he adding those together? That's so misleading. So she went back
He's
53
lying.
feet, but he's saying 87 feet to
Yeah.
confuse them.
Yeah, because
Well, no, that's what. Hang on. I got to figure it out. The
Okay.
initial start point is the 0. She pulls
Yes.
up
All
20
right.
feet and then goes back 87, 53
No,
feet
34 feet
further.
forward.
Yes, that's what he's showing you, Baker. He's
Yeah.
showing whatever it is, 34 feet forward. My bad. The numbers aren't correct, but 34
Yeah.
backwards, that 34, and then an additional 50 something feet is what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
saying
Oh,
for me,
yeah.
it's harder to take in.
There's no way that wouldn't be in their driveway.
Yeah.
No, because we
No
measured.
way.
I think either Brandy or Sleuthy Goosey actually put the measurement in.
Yeah, I think we put it in the Discord. Let's see if we can Discord it.
So from
'Cause I-
the maximum point it pulled forward to where it backed up, again, that was
He's saying it weird though.
34 feet forward, then a total of 53 back, total travel distance of 87 feet. So
That's not
went
what
all the
his
way
graph is
forward
showing.
where it stopped, it then backed up 87 feet. And when the
There you
text
go.
stream data stopped, it's still moving. It's still moving about 23 miles an hour, and you're still at 74% throttle and 3,300 revolutions per minute on the
This,
tachometer, RPM
So you'd
gauge.
be accelerating at that point still.
yeah,
We could
she
turn
she
the
will
light
be
on for a moment.
she will be hitting him and then
Dr.
going
Welcher,
24
in
miles
your
per hour
analysis of the
backwards
data
continuously.
and the information you
There's no
acquire.
way.
I asked AI about this because I remember that there's a half a second more after they claimed he hit him, where she's still going. And I asked if she slammed the brakes here, how much further would she travel? And it said, I believe, 93 feet, which would put her in line with the driveway. But that's before we know, because they said this was at this point. But now I have to add another. I have to add another 20 feet to that, so she would be past Fairview 34.
In the
Lurking feds.
evidence
that's-
that you
so
relied
that's not what
upon.
he's saying now, though.
Did you
He's
come to
saying
some
34
conclusions
forward, and then
regarding
34
the
back, and then an
defendant's
additional
Lexus that he-
53 back.
I
Yeah.
did.
87
As part of
back.
that opinion, you mentioned that you considered mileage.
And still
map
accelerating
distances
the
as
entire
one way
time.
of mapping the location of the vehicle. Do you remember that?
I do.
If you could provide us with slide,
I can't wait for Alessi.
That doesn't
Please,
make
Dr.
any
Leslie,
sense.
make it make
That's
sense.
not what the chart says.
No.
But it's the only way his numbers make sense.
I believe it's slide 25.
You shouldn't believe
Could
you
you
should
widen the
know.
left-hand box a little bit? And you mentioned you measured or you ran information about distances between different routes,
Correct.
Unless he's going to eat his lunch, y'all.
specifically regarding
That graph
Fairview
doesn't show what
to
the,
Meadows,
the
the first
chart
box.
says.
You see that?
I do.
Demonstrative.
There are 3 different mileage numbers.
Yes.
And then there's streets to the left. Can you explain what's,
Why didn't they mention when the impact was? Now we're going to drive
Yeah.
home.
There
I-
wasn't a trigger
you
event, apparently, for the collision.
Yeah,
No.
I. How are
set out in that box?
Sure. It's basically 3 different routes you can go. Sherman Street, Pleasant.
I taken the chat box off, Brendan. At this point, I
Brendan.
think me and Brandon is married because he is yapping like my ex-wife.
Street, Washington, and Sherman Street.
When you considered the shortest route, 2.3 miles on Sherman Street, did you attempt to determine how long it would take to travel 2.3 miles, how fast the car would have to be moving or how slowly it would have to be moving to travel 2.3 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds?
Yes.
And what did you determine?
So to go 2.3 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds, you would need an average speed of 32.47 miles an hour.
What if you took the longest route, 2.8 miles, and you considered 2.8 miles in 4 minutes and 15 seconds? Did you make a determination?
I did.
Did you share that with the jury?
It's 39.5 miles per hour.
Is that what the average speed of the Lexus would need to be to travel that distance in that
Correct.
time?
Well, why doesn't he know? I thought he has all statistical
Turning
stuff.
to your
She
study
surely
of
had a
these
trigger.
tech stream events,
Going
do you have an
home.
opinion, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, how many triggering events occurred? How many triggering events occurred in that ignition cycle 1162?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
In 1162, the tech stream recorded 2 triggering events.
And do you have an opinion as to the type of triggering event, the type of movement of the defendant's Lexus in those 2 triggering events?
I do.
Regarding the first triggering event, 1162-1, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty what type of event the first triggering event was?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
The actual trigger was excessive rearward acceleration. The event was during the course of a 3-point turn.
And do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty the time between triggering event 1 and triggering event 2 in that cycle 1162?
Yes.
And could you share with the jury your opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty the time between those 2 triggering events?
Approximately 8 minutes and 5 seconds.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty as to the type and triggering event of the second event, 1162-2?
I do.
Why didn't we talk about
And could you share with
what
the jury
shows
your
the
opinion to a
impact?
reasonable degree of engineering certainty,
Is
the type of
he
event to
not
that
allowed
second
to?
triggering event?
He is allowed to. He should be allowed to. He
Have
should
to.
show.
Again, the trigger event
Well,
itself
maybe we're
was
getting
a
to it
transition
next.
into reverse
Maybe
and
this
then
is all
high
the
throttle
engineering.
application. It's a
Could be.
forward motion followed by a lengthy high-speed rear impact or rear motion.
Impact.
Impact.
Yes, I'm not going to highlight.
Yeah, nice try.
So get the answer again.
Would you like me to ask the question again, Your Honor?
Yes, Mr.
No. He's summarizing all of his testimony right now. He said from the 3-point turn to the reverse. How long was that? So we're not talking 3-point turns.
Let's see, yes, right? I'll strike the previous answer. Go ahead and ask the question again.
Okay. Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty as to the nature of the second triggering event, 1162-2?
Yes.
Could you share your opinion with the jury?
The triggering event was high throttle opening in a transition to reverse. It's a forward motion followed by a higher speed rear motion. And at the end of the trigger event, you're still at 74% throttle.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty the entire distance captured in that 10-second window during the back maneuver or 1162-2?
Do I have an opinion about it?
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty about
Yes.
the entire distance that is captured in that 10-second window of the second triggering event, 1162-2?
So it obviously only captures what's going on during the trigger. It doesn't capture before or after the trigger.
Understood. Do you have an opinion as to just what is captured as far as the distance?
Yes,
And what is your
Just
opinion?
wants you to say
that it's
87.
87 feet. So again, the initial forward motion is 34 feet, followed by it backing, crossing the initial point, and then backing up an additional 53 feet.
And finally, regarding this part of your analysis, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty as to whether the defendant's Lexus was decelerating, accelerating, or remaining the same at the end of that data captured at the triggering event 1162-2?
It was accelerating at 74% throttle.
So where does it end? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
and again, we're talking about because she puts it in neutral and then puts it in reverse and goes backwards. That's a triggering event. Why isn't it when she puts it in forward and drives off again? That's
Yeah, you would think that when she stopped and then went forward, it would be another trigger because she would be lead footing it again.
yeah, especially
Well, I
because
agree with,
she had just slammed on the brakes not to hit Higgins' truck.
And like the only thing that makes sense is what T-Rex was just saying in the super chat. Like if she
I'm
was
very
stuck
confused.
in
He said the
hell.
car went from drive to reverse at 74. No, the only time I've ever done that is if it's stuck in the snow. He didn't say that. He said that when she was moving at the end of the event, she was her throttle was at 74% open.
I thought it was forward and back, like right
No,
within.
she puts it in neutral and then goes backwards, and then she increases the throttle.
Oh, okay.
In addition to your analysis of the
Yeah.
text stream data,
That doesn't happen.
one final
Hang
question.
on.
You have an
Wouldn't
opinion
she
to a
also
degree-
then have to go forward, right? And the throttle
I just
acceleration
said.
deal,
That should be
it
another
opens at
triggering
30.
event.
It opens at 30%, right? So she's supposed to have just driven off all nice and slow after this.
Yes.
That
She was
doesn't make
really,
any
really
sense.
angry and very controlled and kept her foot not flat down, but at 75%. Hit him,
And he also
continued driving, steered around a Jeep, stopped the car, put it in drive, and then she drove off like she was taking her her elderly aunt to church on Sundays.
Not to mention the fact that she did it with an average speed of 39 miles an hour on the way home, is what he's trying to say. 2.8 miles or whatever back to
Yeah.
back to Meadows. She with an average speed of 39 miles an hour, and she never got the accelerator open more than 30%. But she did it six
No,
times.
it's if it's a violent
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but weren't there
The fi-
four-way stops where she would have in theory.
No,
there's
she
two
just
turns.
blasted through it.
I believe there's
She
two
was-
turns between there.
But
and
again,
that.
this is
Well, no,
why
his
it doesn't
stupid
make
chart
sense.
said she turned like 4 times, didn't it?
But
Or
also,
was that 2 charts?
you have to believe this lady heard turn at Bella's mom, and she said, "Oh, I'm getting my period tomorrow. You are in for a hot one right now, honey bunny." And she blew a gasket, but did a perfectly quiet 3-point turn with no acceleration. They stop outside of the house, moves up slowly to sit outside of the flagpole. The Nagel guy and Jen McCabe has put her at the flagpole. While they're sitting there for 9 to 10 minutes, she's telling him how much she's going to insert her foot in his ass because he banged a chick 10 years ago. Because she's really mad about Aruba. Then this lady he jumps out and saying, "Okay, relax, honey. You sound like your mom." When he says that, she says, "Well, fuck you." Moves ahead 34 feet, controlled. Hit neutral, then reverse, starts accelerating, then guns it, hits him 50, well, somewhere in 20 feet after her initial start point, which makes him end up before the flagpole where she started from, but still she keeps going 20 feet more than that. Maintaining the exact same throttle position, makes a sharp left turn that doesn't cause a trigger event to get around Higgins Deep that's parked at the mailbox, slows the car down slowly so it doesn't cause a triggering event, puts it in forward, then drives off with 39 miles per hour while screaming in her phone that he's an asshole.
Screaming on the emails or voicemails, calling him repeatedly,
Yeah.
nonstop. Call him. Just driving Sunday
But
drive. No big deal.
but driving like she's taking a bus full of brittle bone disease kids to summer camp.
And somehow still managing to average 39 miles an hour.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
Yes.
This is
Not
absolute
caught on
bullshit.
one single camera because the magically doesn't work.
They're full of it.
This
Why
So-
are we sitting in 4 different locations in the world and saying this is utter bullshit?
well,
And
so
this
I
guy
am-
is selling this to an engineering degree of certainty.
I am wondering if he's getting done with his testimony because Brennan said one final question, or they're going to switch to the biomechanics part of his testimony,
Yeah.
which will be another 475 years.
Yeah, well, we need to know how the impact to the body didn't leave any. He's the guy who knows about impacts.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Engineering certainty, the relative time.
Also, I wonder if that voir
maneuver
dire this morning,
occurred.
they weren't
Defendant's
allowed to
like
say
that you
a degree of
spoke
scientific
And could
certainty.
you share
And
with
that's
the
why
jury
he's
your
using
opinion to a reasonable degree
engineering
of engineering
instead.
certainty?
No,
It matches the window of the cell phone
I don't know.
data
I'm speculating
for
on
Mr.
that, but
O'Keefe.
it
that puts
checks
it
out.
in front of 34
This is
Fairview.
weird.
she's way past the driveway because if she had the initial point of contact at the flagpole, which she
Which
now
she
says
had
she
to,
didn't
though.
have. No, but he now moves that further back to around the front door or something. But if she had it there and she instantly slams the brakes without making a triggering event, when this timestamp ends, she would be roughly halfway through the driveway. But now he says she keeps
Still
accelerating.
accelerating.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense in any world.
Oh,
But
the
they found
backing
debris
event
before the
occurred
flagpole.
somewhere
So
between
the collision
12:32
would have had to have happened before the
04
flagpole.
and 12:32:12.
None of this makes any
So I
Yeah,
now
sense
want
at
to
all.
turn to a different part of
Well,
this
it
study of
moves-
this
None of
case.
it.
Okay, so now we're getting into the
some point-
biomechanics.
Okay.
Did you try to determine whether there was an intervening event that could have caused damage to the defendant's right rear taillight separate from a collision at Fairview?
I did.
So the form of the question is to Brennan.
Jemima,
That's
you're wrong.
what-
She's not making a 3-point turn at Fairview. You are mixing two different. There are two triggering events. The first one is at Cedar Crest 3-point turn. The
Up the
second
block.
one is at Fairview, and that's a straightforward, straight back event. Well, slightly left turning.
Okay.
But also slightly left turning. Let me just share this picture. She's doing a slight left turn. This is where John O'Keefe will be found later. Don't look at the points. It's Jemima was trying to. What she did is wrong. Don't think about what's on the road. But this is where John O'Keefe roughly is found. He then says she moves up 34 feet. I'm just spitballing. This is 34 feet. Then she goes back 87. Let's just say that's around this area.
It'd be further back.
Right here, she'll hit Higgins' car.
There's supposed to be a white Jeep with a plow on it right there.
Yeah. How is she with a slight left turn on the steering wheel keeping... This is actually quite a turn in the road.
For going in reverse, it is.
Yeah. Aiden tried. He couldn't do it. Let's then say... when she hits... this is when the triggering event ends. I'm just pretending. She then slams her brakes. At optimal conditions, when I asked AI, it said it would go 80 to 90 feet backwards. That would put her in the next house. Somewhere past this, where she, without triggering anything, puts it in forward and then drives slowly past this house while going 39 miles per hour average.
And you would feel if you hit something. I'm sorry, but Karen, drunk out of her mind, would have stopped, I think. So that's the other part of this that doesn't make sense to me. She was so drunk she didn't feel the, passenger that she hit, but she was able to drive home safely, not get stopped by cops, and then, continue call John the whole time.
Yeah, there's just no way this makes sense if you look at it in the real world. That's why they don't do it.
At some point, when you looked at the data and analyzed this case, did you consider including or excluding?
I believe there is someone who did the measurements.
Including or excluding whether there was an intervening event that caused damage to the defendant's Lexus right rear taillight.
But this isn't their theory. They just gave you their theory. Their theory is she did a 3-point turn on Cedar Crest. She did the forward in at Fairview.
Yes, I did.
When you started your analysis, what information or claim or evidence did you become aware of that you want to analyze to include or exclude as the cause of that damage?
Sure. So my approach to this case is 3 prongs. I'm looking at the downloads, the technical information. I'm looking at this backing incident, and then I'm looking at Mr. O'Keefe's injuries and how they relate to the event, potentially.
Oh, this is
so the second prong, which is looking at this data. So I had a Ring doorbell video showing Miss Reed backing the Lexus out of Mr. O'Keefe's residence.
The property is only like 100 feet.
And so we wanted to look at the backing activity and whether that backing contacting.
They did say it was forward and back. Back was with a slight left turn.
Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, whether that was sufficient to cause or what damage it could cause, and particularly was it sufficient to cause damage to the right rear taillight of the Lexus.
When you were asked to engage in the study, were you ever asked to reach a certain conclusion?
Never.
Was there ever any influence other than the data and facts on your analysis?
There's never been any influence. The influence, again, it's whatever the data shows.
When you engaged in whatever study.
Jemima did the measuring. This is 88.583 feet from, around where the fire hydrant is, but John ends up here. But if she starts at the fire hydrant and goes 88 feet in reverse, but you have to then take off 30 feet because she moved that forward. But that would still be, this would be the point of impact. Because the triggering event is a total of 88 feet in reverse. So she would have hit him here and then dragged him up here and hit a plow.
Yeah.
Sense no making.
Sense.
Very. Were you given any direction or limitations on what you could or should do?
No.
When you received the information, did you understand, regardless of the result, it would be provided to everybody?
I guess generally,
Yeah,
yes. I mean,
Arca was
I
confused.
go through
No, they didn't tell us 0.0 because the only thing we know is 2 people place her at or around the flagpole. Ryan Nagel and Jen McCabe both said we saw her sitting at the flagpole. This is the only accurate measurement we have of where she was. So, again, that must be ground zero.
the data. I give you the results. You do with them whatever you see fit.
And in this case,
Sure.
when you decided to engage in that study, had you had an
destroy your
opportunity
career.
to review the ring video footage from Mr. O'Keefe's home on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Yes,
Tell us how you went through your study, how you began, and the steps you took, please.
sure. Probably be best on the slides.
Oh,
So-
yeah, slides.
One of the things we first did was to get an exemplar Lexus. What does exemplar mean? It just means I got the same exact year, make, and model vehicle as Miss Reed. So Miss Reed's vehicle is on the left-hand side, taken during my inspection. And then I found this exact same year, make, model, manufactured at the same plant, everything Lexus in Texas. So even though it looks like a European plate, it's a Texas plate. Purchased the vehicle, had it shipped out to California. So I verified that the Lexus is in fact the one I got, the same exact one as Miss Reed's. These are all the standard equipment. Miss Reed's is on the left. My exemplar is on the right. It says Reed Lexus TIS, that's Toyota Information Services, Toyota Information System. So I ran it through TIS, which is the umbrella program under which TechStream runs. I also ran it through My Lexus, which is the Lexus website. And then started about doing what's referred to as a photogrammetric analysis of the video.
Can you explain to us what a photogrammetric, help me with the word, photogrammetry?
Photogrammetric. We're doing photogrammetry is a photogrammetric analysis.
What does that mean?
It's just a big fancy word to saying you're looking at data and photographs. And what we're trying to do is take two-dimensional images, say you get from video or photographs, and knowing some information about the photographs and some of the dimensions of things in the image, get or convert it to a three-dimensional space. In other words, be able to get exact three-dimensional measurements out of that two-dimensional image. So I had the video, just to show the provided video that I was given. So Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. I don't know if you noticed, but there actually is contact between the vehicles.
Oh, really?
if you notice.
Really? Are you, what you don't say?
So one of the first things we wanted to do is determine the frame rate, which is how many video frames are played per second. Your normal kind of video camera has about 30 frames per second. Your standard movie is 25 frames a second. You know, a modern IMAX is like 60 frames a second. The frame rate of the camera, how many images it shows per second, because video and films are just single images played really fast. So it looks like motion. And so determining the time between each frame tells you how much time occurred. So if we know the time between each frame, and then we can figure out how far the vehicle moved, distance divided by time is speed. So we put it through a couple different programs. This is called AMP5. We got 19 frames a second. This is a specific
37, 2, 15, 8, 5, 99, 11. Ignore the third number and add 4 to all the rest. Boom. Karen hit John. No eyewitnesses needed. You're welcome. #expert.
forensic program called Axon Investigate, 19.8 frames a second. This is a publicly available program called FFMS. Same thing, 19.8 frames a second. Another program, Media Info, 19.8 frames a second. Anyways, 5 different sources, we're getting 19.8 frames a second. So then what we've done is add information now. So now that we know how many seconds each frame represents, we now put a clock back in to tie that into time. So it's the same exact video, except we have a frame counter now, and we have a time.
I liked it better when David Copperfield made Alcatraz.
So we have some information now on the time between each frame. So here's frame 0. This is frame 265. We're 13 seconds into it. Here's frame 305.
Did Valhalla and Expert just activate a sleeper agent? 34, 24, 46. Good and thick. Know what to do with it. At this point, I would rather Google measurements like this than what's this idiot.
Yes.
Notice you see brake lights on the back wall here. Notice how they're not super red because you still have reverse lights on. Now they all go off. So the Lexus brake lights have been turned off at frame 353. 356. Actually, brake lights begin to come on. 357, they're back on.
What are we doing?
What?
Lexus comes to a complete stop at frame 369.
How does this have to do with John being hit by a car?
The reverse lights turn off. So now look how red this is
They're
because we no longer
showing
have
that
the white reverse lights in it.
taillight couldn't be damaged
And you can see the
by
Lexus
hitting John's car.
starts to drive forward. So frame 825, this is after the Lexus has left the scene. But notice the tracks in the snow. So we have very definitive locations for the wheels of the Lexus.
This is because he put it into a program
You lay
that
over
then
a
will
grid
show it couldn't happen that way.
on the various frames. So we then took the images and did what's called clarification, which is where you overlay images from multiple versions or multiple views of the same vehicle, and it helps sharpen the image, but it slightly dulls the color. So you get a little cleaner, crisper image. So here's
So you
Mr.
interpolated it.
O'Keefe's vehicle before
This is what's called pinch to zoom.
Yeah.
clarification after clarification.
Excuse me, Your Honor, pardon my interruption. Can you get numbers of the slides as we're toggling back and forth? Sure.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll make an effort. So slide 76. You're welcome. Going to slide 77. We're going to focus in on this area here. So what we will actually show is where the snow was displaced in these two spots, spots right across from here and right across from here. If you could focus your attention on those.
No.
Slide 77. So slide 78. To bring us all together, we went out to Mr. O'Keefe's residence and took a scan, a laser scan. So you see the laser scanner over here. Laser scanner is right here. Fence hasn't changed position. The camera's changed a slight position. We can account for that. So here's the subject video. We have the correct resolution. There's a new camera. It's going slightly faster frame rate. That just means we have different times between frames on the new camera, but we're simply using it for calibration to the old camera. It's the same container for the MP4, and it's using the same video codec. A video codec is how the computer encodes.
At this point, you could just start doing rain dances in front of the jury because no one understands this.
the video.
Yeah,
Sleepy.
no.
Oh, yes, thank you, Your Honor. Slide 79.
I'm about to make this
Yes, he's
solo
going to
cup
say that
read.
she hit the car, but not with enough force and in the right position that it broke the tail light. In the way that he will probably not say it couldn't break in the way it was when in the pictures or something like that. But that's not what the defense will claim either.
Slide 79, part 2. So really, we care most about is the resolution. So slide 80, you can see these are what are called control points. So from the laser scan, we locate these various points. So the 3D scanner knows the exact position of all these points on slide 80 in the image. And so what we can do is use this information in conjunction with the video to create a scaled version of the video. So when we have three-dimensional images or three-dimensional measurements, we can then use that to give us some three-dimensional information from our 2D video. So there's the points on slide 81. Slide 82, excuse me, slide 81, second part, we're basically just fading in. So what you see now, if I go back to the beginning of slide 81, this is the picture from the video camera. And then what you see here is, which is barely any difference, and that's because what we've done is we've now overlaid the points from the laser scan. So now each one of these little speckly points, we know the exact 3D coordinates of those. So we can now know the exact position of all these fence posts, all the positions.
There's now more footage of John O'Keefe's empty driveway than there is of John O'Keefe's dead body on this planet. and the place where he died.
Yeah.
Conditions on the driveway, and we can use that to calibrate. Going to slide 82. So using that information, it's called solving for the camera. We verify that we have appropriate residuals, meaning we don't have too much error. Slide 83. Okay, subject video. Then this is the subject video with the control points overlaid on it. That's a subject video where we're phasing in the laser scans of the scene, 84. So this is both on slide 84. I'm just toggling between the point cloud and the video. And what I'm trying to illustrate is how well we were able to overlay the point cloud onto the video data. So for example, if you say watch one of these fence post points up here while I toggle between the video.
They're not the same.
There's a laser scan. There's the video. So we've done a good job. Again, the residuals show that we've done an adequate job of matching the data. Slide 85.
How does it show that?
You went from
By
a
the way,
completely different view.
I just looked at my data and I did an adequate job that I should have 1,000 viewers. So YouTube, you owe me 800 viewers. I just looked at the data says it.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. We did a good job. The pictures match. We convinced you guys.
It's again, I will now ask YouTube to pay me because my data says I did a good enough job. So they should pay me for the views I would have gotten if I had 1,000 viewers.
Absolutely.
Totally not
So
a
what I'm
Russian.
doing here
Is your
is
brain
toggling
hurting?
between, this is the video of the car. Remember I told you I went out and I inspected Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. I did a laser scan of it. So we're now taking that laser scan of the video, or excuse me, of the vehicle, and overlaying it onto the car in the video. So this is the video image.
For real?
That's a laser scan laid on top of it.
What
So we know
in
all the
the name
dimensions
of-
in the laser scan. We know all the dimensions in the scene of this.
Nothing about this is a
Why
true and
are we
accurate
doing
We have the tire
depiction
tracks.
anymore.
We can create and take data points along the tire tracks, create a map of those. So green is the right rear. Again, the vehicle's backing out, coming, slide 87, coming out this direction, backing here, stopping, pulling,
Make it stop. Someone make it stop.
pulling forward towards the bottom of the screen. Backing out here, pulling forward like here. Slide 88. So this is the Lexus lined up. This is when the Lexus has come to a complete stop. This would be maximum engagement. Again, this is just toggling frame 88, showing we have the time and the frame number. 369 on the same slide. We've now overlaid the Lexus
Giggity.
laser scans on top of the image of the Lexus. So there's the video image, a still image that we took from the video.
Why do
And here's
we
where we
have
overlaid a laser
laser?
scan of the Lexus. So we've overlaid the laser scan of the Lexus onto the Lexus. We've overlaid the laser scan of the Chevrolet onto the Chevrolet. And we've overlaid the laser scan of the scene onto the scene. So now what that allows us to do, we now know the position of everything in there. And we've also tracked the position of the tire tracks. So that's what it looks like if you overlay the computer model of Mr. Reed's vehicle onto the tire tracks.
Slide over, please.
Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. Slide 89, and then I'm just toggling slide 89 where I turn the vehicle off so you can see how the tire positions match up. Another toggle to slide 89, the tire positions line up with where the end of the snow was. From all that information, again, we lined it up in the video, we lined it up in the scene, we have the two vehicles, we can get the exact position of the vehicles when that Lexus stopped. So when that Lexus stopped, that's going to be the maximum engagement. So from that information, we can get the angle of the vehicle, we can get the degree of overlap, the impact configuration, and it's hard to see because of the angles and because these vehicles are not at right angles to each other, the exact contact. Now, I mentioned, and we're on slide 94 now, that
What?
contact on the rear
What in the name
of the
of-
Chevy Traverse. So you can see we actually, you can't see.
No, we can't. What?
What is going
So
on
these are the
here?
two only points
So we
of
took a whole bunch
impact.
of data points within those two areas where the snow got dislodged, and we're looking at where that is. So if you look at that on the vehicle, so this is where it is on the rear of Mr. O'Keefe's Chevrolet. You can see it's about 25 and a half inches above ground, 42 and a half inches above ground. Here's Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. So these marks are kind of, this is the Chevy Traverse words, are approximately right here. Again, I had the opportunity to inspect Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. There's no damage where these marks are.
We're going to need
So,
money for the
sure, it
curse
knocked the snow
job.
off, but it wasn't sufficient to cause damage to his vehicle.
Did he just
But you can-
testify
we
that
then
there was
map that
no
data
damage to
onto
John O'Keefe's car?
Miss Reed's vehicle to look
Yeah.
at where that height is. So you can see the only contact marks are down at the bumper
Wow.
level. I mentioned how that bumper sticks out. This is exactly where you'd expect it.
Okay,
Well, the
but
only
those
evidence of
scratches
contact
were
is nowhere near
supposed to be when
the
John
upper
hit.
taillight. I emphasize the word upper taillight because it is right in line with the lower taillight. But yet the lower taillight also was not broken.
What?
So again, 25 and a half, that's 24 right here, 25 and a half. That's 24 right here, 25,
don't
25 and a
know
half. That's right where that scuff
The
mark was.
scanny thing showed that
It's also right at,
her
again, the level at the
light
top of
was
that
in his
light.
car.
This light is not broken. I've looked at the front of it, I've looked at the back of it, I've looked all around it. It's not broken, and it sticks out further than the light above it. So
yeah,
using
it
those
feels made
positions,
up,
matching the
T-Rex.
overlay of the vehicles, we can get the speeds from that. We know where the Lexus is. We know how much time it is between each frame, so we know how far it moved. And so what we know is that when it first came to a stop, right before that, it was going about 0.7 miles per hour. So realistically, somewhere between a half to 1.
Did the text stream say this because that would also, well, it wouldn't do anything. It's
mile an hour, just to account for
I'm
some
checking it out.
variations, but definitely going 1 mile an hour or less at impact.
Slide over, please.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. Slide 99. That's the dimensions. Slide 102. Similar to what I said, no damage to that light, no damage to Mr. O'Keefe's traverse in that area. And
Yes,
then if I
the
could,
Dyden Cup
I'd like to go
said
back
it
to
was
where I skipped over
cracked,
something.
not broken. I'm
but look, the
swearing, I'm
scan,
sorry,
the
here's
scan-
my penance. Thank you, Holly Mac.
Can I point out one thing real quick? When you back up and hit the car, she doesn't pull forward. She turns her wheel and angles forward, meaning the back end of her car is going to push further into John's car.
Yeah, it's gonna scrape along it, won't it?
Maybe not scrape, but it's going to have a little bit of torque going towards that car. Like the pressure is going to increase because she doesn't come straight out. She goes to the left, right? So her right, the back of her car is going to shift right as she pulls out.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and also I can tell you from personal experience, somebody hit my truck on Sunday and there can be damage to one vehicle and a little to no noticeable damage on the other.
Yes.
And-
So
and
true.
again-
I got hit at a stoplight and I had nothing on my car, and the person behind me was all banged up.
Yeah.
And again, he says she didn't hit him with significant force, but she bumps his entire car. And
Yeah.
no one is claiming other than, well, no one is claiming that this is where the taillight ended up looking like they claim it did after. Because this is where they say, well, this is where the little crack that the Denon Cup talked about was there.
And we all
It wasn't
pretty
till-
much agree with that.
Yeah. Miss Disorder, what are they doing wrong? Because I don't know any of this stuff and this seems wrong. My heart is telling me it's wrong, but I couldn't tell you. Oh, good Lord.
So this is slide 85. So this is Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle before contact.
This is imaginary nonsense that I overlaid on top of it.
Yeah, why are we about to open my last White Claw? This is ridiculous.
The gang is back together, but I'm just so people can see the evidence better.
I don't know what happened this time.
Where are you for the
We don't know what you're missing. It's your slides, you idiot. Is it one of the slides you deleted? Did you stupidify it?
I am trying
All of these
to
mumbo
listen.
jumbo hypothetical computer generated
Slide
nonsense
shows
shouldn't
that
even be admissible.
They shouldn't.
There
be.
was snow here, now there's no snow.
I think the defense had someone out there
Did you look
looking
on the
at it.
driveway after
But again,
touching between the two
he
cars,
does it
see
in
if
the
you could
car,
see anything
in the
on
computer.
snow at the back of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
So referring to this
Listeners.
slide, this is after the Lexus has pulled away. Looking in the snow, I see nothing in the snow.
Were you looking for anything in particular?
Of course I was. I was looking for taillight fragments.
In any of the videos that you have that show Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle after the defendant's Lexus touches it, do you ever see any remnants or shards or fragments of taillight on the ground?
I do not.
But no one did at the
When you
scene, and
did your
there was
analysis and
45
study,
pieces.
trying to include or exclude this touching as the source of damage to the defendant's Lexus rear right taillight. Did you consider speed as part of that analysis?
I did. I consider speed, and then again, knowing we have the positions of the vehicle, we looked at the degree of overlap, and there's only about 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap between the vehicles, which is insufficient to cause the taillight that's recessed in from the edge
Did you
on the
test
right rear of the
it
Lexus to
without
contact
computers with a
the
real
rear
car?
of the Chevrolet.
Your
No, he doesn't
exemplar?
need to.
Considering all the data analysis that you did you come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether the right rear taillight of Ms. Reed's Lexus was broken or damaged during the contact with Mr. O'Keefe's car at around 5:07 a.m. on January 29, 2022?
That impact did not break or crack that taillight.
Is that your opinion?
That's my opinion.
Is that to a reasonable
Didn't
degree
crack
of
the
engineering
taillight
certainty?
That's to a high degree of engineering certainty.
You mentioned there were 3 areas of study, and we've been through 2.
Correct.
Could you tell us what you focused on your 3rd area of study regarding this case?
So the third area of study, I'm now focusing in on the injuries, the at scene, physical evidence, taillight fragments, broken glass, things of that nature.
Okay. And when you conducted your studies and reached conclusions, did you, in your PowerPoint, provide slides to help explain your process and inevitably your conclusions?
Yes, sir.
You can take us through the 3rd section of your efforts regarding this case, specifically your efforts to identify the different pieces of evidence and your conclusions about a collision in this case.
Absolutely. Slide 104.
Please.
So this is a.
Is this 105, Dr. Welcher?
I'm sorry, 105. Yes, sorry.
What?
Slide 105. This is a picture of Mr. O'Keefe's right arm, forearm, hand, and wrist.
Woo,
In
finally.
anatomy, your arm
demonetized.
is defined from your shoulder to your elbow, and then from your elbow to your wrist is your forearm, and then this is your hand. So technically, when you say arm, it really means from your elbow to your shoulder.
So
Most
now
people
he's
call it
going to
something
overlay this
arm.
with the
It's actually
tail
upper
light.
extremity. Arm is from shoulder to elbow, elbow to wrist is forearm and hand. So you can see I wrote arm and forearm. So arm, elbow to shoulder, elbow to wrist is forearm. So looking at the injuries to Mr. O'Keefe's arm, forearm, as well as his hand. So this is me. I'm actually 6 feet, half an inch tall. What you see in the upper right is the coroner's examination report for Mr. O'Keefe. He's 73 inches tall. That's 6 feet, 1 inch tall. At this time, I was 220 pounds. Mr. O'Keefe, at the time of this incident, was 216 pounds. So I took measurements of myself. I'm actually wearing the same make and size shoes as Mr. O'Keefe, the same brand of jeans as Mr. O'Keefe, the same brand and size shirt.
Oh, he's going to testify that the spoiler. He's going to
Did he get
testify
hit
that
by
the
a
spoiler
car?
hit the back of his head. Is he going to testify that the spoiler hit his? If he.
They are trying to say it's a side swipe, so I'm waiting to hear what this is going to be.
Oh,
I'm waiting to hear that he was the professional test dummy for this.
Oh, I hope so.
why was she looking for taillight pieces in the snow if he did not have a predetermined outcome told to him by the Commonwealth? Well, because he read the reports and just came up with it.
Can I
Mr. O'Keefe,
just for
You see
a
the
second,
Lexus.
the audacity of this man to try to claim that he is the same build and shape and size as John O'Keefe is outside of the realm of things that I can accept today being sober. I am getting a beer.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I'm
All right,
day drinking.
Valhalla, I'm clawing it up because this is ridiculous.
I am exactly built like Chris Hemsworth.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, I have a little extra pounds on me over the build of Chris Hemsworth, but exactly the same.
In the background, we have matched the height to the Lexus. What I'm showing here is both my height, and then keep in mind where the height of this wing is relative to my right eye.
Oh my God, he's going to use it as the eye
So now
thing.
I'm wearing,
What?
in addition, the same shirt and shoes,
The
same kind of
hematoma.
sweatshirt, and actually the same kind of baseball hat. We
What
tried to
in the
determine
name
the
of
exact glass from the
Jesus?
waterfall grill. Found out they were getting different ones at different times, but I ordered my glass from the same distributor that Waterfall Grill ordered their glasses from.
Same thing. Good enough.
No,
Good
no,
enough.
no, no, no.
What in the
No.
name of F is going on?
No, because
How is this guy an expert witness? You have got to be kidding me.
but you can't do this. You can't keep the
Yeah, it's the
arm
same thing.
in this position because look what's down here. There's a bumper that's
Same
gonna.
thing, Baker.
Just wait. Wait for it. You're gonna.
No.
Is he get the
thing.
same result? Is it going to shred his
Same
arm?
thing.
Oh,
Same
please,
thing.
please tell me we
Same
get to
thing.
hit him with a car allegedly in Minecraft.
How is this being entered as evidence? How?
No wonder Arca was like, what the F is going on here? He's like, I dressed up like John O'Keefe. This is totally for cereal, guys. Man, bear, pig. Thank you so much, T-Rex Trucking. Congratulations, Mo. Here's money because they showed the arm pick again. I'm going to need curse jar money. Always breadstick money, not ramen noodle money. How is this even
this
a
is
company?
worse than I
could do
thought.
better.
This is, but
It's going to get better. You know it.
no.
No,
So you can see
It's
in
not
my
bad. It's
hand
not
here,
a
I have a
big
glass. Here's a glass. It looks similar.
Where's
Looks similar.
John
Looks
O'Keefe
similar.
was right-handed. Where is his phone?
In the same location. And then in the lower right photograph, what I've done is I've rolled up my sleeve, taken the sweatshirt off, and I'm going to look at
'Cause that's
how
what
this
happened?
contact pattern lines up. So the first set of slides, I'm simply standing next to the Lexus. We know we have a broken taillight. We know how scratches on Mr. O'Keefe's arm. I'm seeing how those may or may not
so
relate
his
to
arm
the height and
broke
position
it,
of the taillight.
but
Dr. Welch, if you
What
back
in
up
the-
one slide, I have a
how?
question for you. In the middle photograph,
Why?
at the top of the Lexus, there's
Cover up that arm.
I call it a
Baker,
wing.
put
I
us
mean, it could be
up.
a
We need to
wing.
be laughing in front of this. This
Thank you.
can't be full screen. This is some bullshit.
Air dam would be another.
Also, sun's out, guns out, dude. Work on those biceps, triceps. Come on, man. You got a bingo wing like me. You have to do skull crushers and, extension. Come on, we can get this bingo wing out. Baker, what
But
in the
He's doing the
hell
old
is
guy
this?
trick where he squeezes it against his body down here so it looks bigger. He's doing the old man.
Yeah, just get the fat up against the fat from your chest. So it's. But
He wasn't
do you know?
wearing
Do you notice what's right behind his arm?
A body.
a body.
That has absolutely no markings on it. And again, what is this? It's his body protruding over the back of the car. His hip would have gotten black. No,
It
Oh
would
wait,
have-
so the
Salud.
visor, the scold. So
I'm out.
Baker,
so the
I
spoiler
just
on the car is what caused his
did
facial
just a
damage?
tiny little.
Yeah,
Oh,
that gives him
not-
We
his
haven't even got there
hematoma.
yet.
Yeah, and what happened to his nose here? Because didn't he have an interior and sort of a
gonna tell
nasal
us.
cut?
I mean,
Let's see, because this
Also-
is stupid.
Okay, so I then set about to do a little bit of testing with Lexus. The first test you're going to see is me just walking backwards or actually sideways into the Lexus. What I've done is I've painted the Lexus right rear tail light, which is called grease paint, kind of sort of like paint, but it doesn't dry.
Each time I think that it can't get worse, I reminded myself that this is Bev's fault. I mean, come on, man. How is this even allowed?
He smurfed himself.
Thank you, Sebastian.
How is this science?
And then I
Ryan,
have
help us.
backed up sideways, side shuffled into the Lexus with my arm out,
Shuffled.
see what the damage pattern looks like.
Crab walk.
Basically where
Crab walk.
someone of Mr. O'Keefe's height's arm would contact the rear tail light. So then what you see is I've
But what about
shown
the
the photographs
closer to
again.
what in
I
the
show the paint transfer onto my arm. The yellow
Baker
grease
make-
paint on my hand was to show where my hand would hit the tail light.
wait.
Just me walking slowly sideways into it.
pause it,
The
Baker?
approximate location of the tail light, I'll line up the
Baker's
broken tail light in a second, lines up with the approximate location of the laceration on Mr. O'Keefe's arm.
So let me ask you a question. When you're engaging in these demonstrations, are you attempting to try to show exactly how Mr. O'Keefe was struck?
Bro, if you
No.
killed my
So-
buddy Big,
No,
Pedestrian
no.
impacts are extremely sensitive to exact angles. And so where exactly your foot is, whether your foot's off the ground, can have an effect on where you end up after that. We just don't have
But
enough
it's not getting
information
close to the
in
wrist.
this
He's
case to
getting
determine all that
way up
information.
here.
We know the
And-
taillight was broken. We know the glass was broken. We know we have
Don't make me
damage to the
show
rear
my
Lexus.
bingo
We know we have
wing. Come on, he's
lacerations to
being
Mr.
up
O'Keefe's
here
arm.
and cheer,
So I'm trying
but
to see
not
if there's
down
any
here.
correlation between all those.
Well, can body posture on a
You
flip or
are-
side swipe collision change the trajectory or the injury?
Of course.
Can the way somebody moves or reacts before impact change it?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain.
What are other things that can change?
Someone bring
the
Sarah in
trajectory
with a
of the person
Savage knife
and
and
the
get
injury?
this guy out
So,
of
for
here.
example, if you get hit and knocked off balance or clipped and knocked off balance, you can take additional steps. That'll affect how far your body travels. If you have one foot on the ground versus the other foot on the ground, affects how the body rotates. If your arm is at 90 degrees or 85 degrees, will affect the kinematics. We attempted to model different possibilities, and we're getting results that were all over the map. Small changes in the pedestrian position give you huge change in the output. And so from the tech stream data, we don't know exactly when in the tech stream data he was hit. So we don't even know the exact
Wait a minute.
you don't
Wait a
even
minute.
know.
What?
You don't
in the
even know.
effery?
You said
That's
that the
it,
slight
Chug.
decrease. Oh my god, dang. Okay, when Baker
But
read
how
this,
is he
everyone has to
hitting
chug their
that?
drink.
How is he hitting that taillight with his arm? Because he's just bumping into it with some blue paint like a doofus.
Well,
But
he did a crab
how is
walk,
that?
and that's exactly the same as a car
Yeah.
doing this.
But you're telling me that not only did he force his arm broke it, but it stayed long enough in that position to shred him,
Shred it. Yeah.
and then
Hey,
he
None
flew
of.
off.
in a
But
Leslie
it
we
didn't
trust
break his
because I'm
arm,
done.
and it
I
didn't.
am done. Yeah,
Pretty amazing.
MG has it correctly. They don't know at what, if any, point he even was hit by this effing car. And
What?
last
name of
trial,
all that
they
is
said
unholy.
exactly at this point when there's a slight deceleration in the car is when she hit him. And now it could be anywhere in the time from when she started her reversal till it ended. It could be anywhere from she put it in reverse till the incident trigger ended. Anywhere there. And he
Okay,
couldn't tell
not-
you because he's such a great engineer who can remodel a car in a driveway, but he can't figure out. Again, if he takes the spot where she landed, puts in the force applied by the car, he should actually be able to figure it out.
The
I
impact
mean,
speed.
not for nothing, but
In
is
most pedestrian
Aperture
reconstructions, you
hiring?
typically
Because
have
I
a
like to play with paint and do crafty things. I could make puppets.
Point where the
I
impact
mean,
occurred,
I'm
like where the person was,
pursuing
like in the crosswalk,
something.
for example, and they get hit and their tire leaves
A
a rubber
six
spot.
pack?
That's called the area of impact or point of impact. You then can look at how far they were thrown and using some laws of physics, calculate how fast the car had to be going. Well, we don't have that in this case. We don't know exactly where Mr. O'Keefe was on the roadway.
Don't know
Let's
exactly.
go to the next slide.
Without having an exact point of impact or an exact speed or an exact body position, are you able to specifically replicate the actual collision in the way Mr. O'Keefe's body would move?
Exactly replicate? No. And again, in terms of how he would move, again, we don't know where exactly on the roadway he started. So in terms of how he moved, that's a function of where he started. We don't know if when he was clipped, he took an additional step before falling backwards. So that will change how far you are off the roadway. So the impact, which you'll see in a second, even at 2 miles an hour, will induce rotation of the body. So depending on the speed, the higher the speed, the more rotation. So if I may,
Did he do a triple sow cow
so
into a
slide
double
111,
toe
this is
loop?
simply showing where I walk sideways, how this lines up
What would
with the
Brian
location
Boitano
of the
do
lacerations on Mr. O'Keefe's
here
arm.
today?
Here's the post-contact scuffing on the taillight. Here's a picture of Miss Reed's vehicle on the right-hand side. So now I said, okay, that was me walking into the car. Let's have
Oh,
the
I
car
like how he's
drive into me.
flexed.
I did this at very low speeds,
That's
and you'll see, we'll show this from 2 different angles. That's me showing, I'm doing test 2.
Can we take a second?
what it looks like when you walk into
This
paint.
is-
Not
This is
when
from a
you.
camera that we
Okay.
have pointing down at it.
I'm
This is
ready.
the
Wait a
speed.
minute.
I'm
You
ready.
see, it's
Go
only
ahead.
about a 2
Back
mile an
up.
hour impact.
I'm ready
But
now.
even a 2 mile an hour impact redirects me back and causes me to rotate and take a step.
What in the name of
Valhalla, can you please stand
Then
up
where
with
is
your
the
beer in your
bruises?
Valhalla? Can you stand up with your beer in your hand?
All right.
Can you stand like you would naturally stand with a beer in your hand if you were waiting outside? Yeah, that's how normal people have a beer
Wait, you don't
or a
keep your beer
glass
at
or whatever.
45?
There's no
10 and
way
2.
you stand with it in an angle out here, flying out in the air. It makes. Fuck! This is stupid. I think this is the
so
dumbest.
Is this why
Super
Arca was
Bowl-
pulling their hair out?
Trooper Paul, yesterday when I rewatched it, I thought, oh my God, this guy should be institutionalized because he has mental disability problem. This guy is taking everything backwards and said, yep, I can make it fit if I just stand like it's. Do you remember when we were taught self-defense in the military where if someone came at you in this very position, you can do this? But how many people do you know? That doesn't matter. You just learned how to disable someone who came running at you like this
I kind of like
with
the
a plastic
pugil
rifle.
sticks.
Oh, fucking stupid.
This is amazing. I can't believe this guy.
And John was wearing a hoodie. What in the name of all?
Yeah, where's the hoodie? Well, it's to show his buff arms. I did arms today.
He just wants to show off his biceps. I bet he did some push-ups before this video.
You guys, please tell me this is done. Please tell me Bev is embarrassed and will stop this.
Driver.
No, she loves this stuff. What are you talking about? He's such a good.
I have never seen anything like
Slide
this.
is this? I think I just can't see it. What slide is this?
114.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One moment, Dr. Welcher.
And again, Trooper Paul said he
showing us
flied
this
through
video,
the air and landed on the back of his head.
walked to
Now
the
he's
side of the
rotating
passenger
around.
side of the car,
How
didn't
did he
you?
generate enough
And why
for
did you do
his
that?
head?
I was just
Hey, you don't buy one glass from a distributor. Where is the puzzle drink? Pussy's drink? I don't know what that is.
asked with them what to do.
You were discussing with who what to do.
The driver.
In no way were you trying to imitate or give a demonstration of what you believed Mr. O'Keefe's movements to be.
Oh, no.
The
This
dumbest thing I've
speeds
ever
just
seen.
2 miles an hour. I was having a discussion with the driver about what we need to do to conduct the test.
So when you walked up to the passenger side, it wasn't to replicate a study or a movement or give an
No,
opinion.
that walking
Simply-
had nothing to do with this case except for me instructing the driver what to do.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sorry about that.
No apology necessary. Could you go back to
Yes,
the beginning?
apologies
When you
God,
explained-
stop
necessary for
flirting
this.
with each other.
Well,
So
he's
this
the guy
is
be like,
the
that's
dynamic
not what
test
happened,
test two.
all right? Because it looks stupid.
Oh God, not
So
again.
again, this is the view from behind. Just to avoid the confusion, I will start it here.
His
Avoid it.
entire body is in.
What speed is the car traveling?
You can see it.
So how does he get
His
his
entire
head on the
body
spoiler,
hits
but
the
his
car.
head,
Look at his
yeah.
legs.
About 2 miles an hour.
yeah,
His knees would be
thighs.
shattered.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
All
is-
right. So that's noted, Mr. Lessing.
This is so dumb.
So
I can't
similar
believe
to the other
this is
test,
coming in
this is the
better.
Does
post-contact
ARCA do
image of
this
the
crap?
transfers
Do we just have
onto
Smurfs
my arm.
everywhere in ARCA?
Actually, the yellow paint, you can see from my hand is here. This is from the arm and forearm. Here's the paint transfer pattern.
Did you test if the pattern
that slide
could?
number?
I'm
Dr.
sorry,
Welcher?
I'm terrible with that.
That's
Slide
okay.
116 now. It was 115.
Thank you.
You know what I
Oh
wish
yeah,
he
you
had
took
done?
one out.
What I've done
I wish
is
he would have
I've
painted the whole
taken these
side
yellow
of the
lines to
car
show
so
the
you could see every
extension of
impact, not just
the
the
components
tail light.
on the rear of the
Yeah.
exemplar Lexus.
Well,
and I've done
he
this
couldn't do
extension of
that
those same
because then it
components
would disprove
on the rear of
state's
Miss Reed's
case.
Lexus and shown how the approximate location of the fractures in the tail light match up with the approximate location of the contact of the arm onto the tail light.
No.
Dr. Welcher, do you
Again,
have
you're
any
missing this
in-
part of
of
the
how
forearm.
Mr. O'Keefe's arm was bent
He's
or
got
angled?
all
I
of
think
this.
Alessi will take care of that problem, Jedi Jess.
Bent that?
Not exactly, but for these to be
Not
taillight shard
exactly.
fragments, they would need to be in the area of the taillight, but it could be further up. We know from the police photographs that there was a damage to the rear body panel in the area I'm searching here. So it's possible his arm was a little higher up and the glass hit the rear of the Lexus and caused that damage.
In the bottom right,
Excuse me, your objection.
I will strike that last
Possible
part.
to
Yeah, it
Central
could be
made up.
anything.
what, Dr. Welcher?
To show, in this case, primarily the location of the lacerations up on
How
the
is
arm,
Bev allowing
upper part of the
this?
arm, and that they match up with the locations of at least the one
No,
remaining
they don't.
shard in the rear tail light.
You're up higher.
Looking at the picture of the Lexus,
Yeah.
bottom right middle, are there any marks on the Lexus itself that you took note of?
Yes, on the next slide.
Thank you.
Actually, it's-
Man, how lucky were they that they found an aperture
So
gun
there-
the exact same shape
Again,
and
this
size?
is the evidence marker.
Wow.
There was a horizontal scuff. We know Mr. O'Keefe had blue jean type pants on. There's a scuff
Wait,
in the
so
area
the
that would
pants
approximately
got
correspond to hip
hid,
level
but he
for Mr.
didn't.
O'Keefe.
No, and you said that scuff
ma'am,
was from
118.
the car, John's car.
Did you describe what you saw on the bottom right-hand corner photo as well?
I believe, yes, I did. That's the scuff that lines up with the approximate height
Those
of Mr.
scuffs
O'Keefe's
were
right hip.
from John's car impact. They can't
So then
use
I
the same scuffs
included
twice.
Previous image that you've seen, slide 119,
Oh, for
with the
God's sake, I
reconstructed
hate
photograph
this
of the rear
case.
taillight, showing where some of the
For this
fragments are.
person,
You can
allegedly.
see where those fragments are relative to the curvature
Also,
of the taillight.
he had a
maybe
hooded sweatshirt
in the
on.
area somewhat centered within the region of the two yellow lines on slide 119.
Is there anything about the photograph in the top right-hand corner that's important? If so, could you zoom in and show us?
So again, it's showing that this is when it's, I believe, in the Sally Port at the police station.
According to
showing
his
that
theory, there should be
Scuff.
rips and tears in
On the right rear body
hoodie
panel.
in those exact locations. If he's claiming that that's from taillight shards,
Did you see any
then the
similar
hoodie
Yeah.
should
stuff in
also
the
be
middle
Alright.
there.
back of the car?
You know, Morning Mo wanted Alessi to be
notable
nice to him.
part-
Now I want him to destroy his soul.
He's gonna be destroyed.
To the middle back of this Lexus.
Thank you.
You're
I
just gonna show that
holding on.
impact video and say, "Where's the injuries to his lower body?" Thank you. Come again.
The middle,
Yes,
like back where the doors are,
but with the middle of the back of the car, did you see any similar damage to the middle? or
there
the
were
left?
scuff marks that ran along the bumper.
Okay, continue, please.
Where's
So
those
this is
scuff
showing
marks?
his jacket he was wearing, that the puncture marks coincide to the marks on his arm. This is from the autopsy report.
Oh, give me the
A couple things to
hematoma.
notice. A half-centimeter abrasion on his right lateral knee. He's got a laceration on his right eyelid. That corresponds to the height of that rear fin, rear.
Oh, the
God.
You're
fin.
telling me
The
You're
fin.
telling me that the rear spoiler of a car weighing 7,300 pounds, traveling at 24.3 miles per hour, struck John O'Keefe and scuffed his eye. His entire side of the face, because do you know what's right below the spoiler, my good friend? An entire car that's I can't even smack myself that hard in the head because I'm going traveling and I don't want to come to America with a black eye. His entire side of if the spoiler is here, there is a side of.
Baker's like, I can't even.
I don't have anything that I can cut. This is the spoiler. The spoiler is attached to the car roof. Then you have the window. So if the spoiler hits me here, going 24.3 miles per hour, is that only going to touch me here, give me a hematoma, or is it going to do this and rip my neck to pieces?
Yeah.
How much injuries did he have to his neck muscles? He must be doing more traps than I do. And I do shrugs with 88 pounds in each hand. And I'm pretty sure that if I got struck in the face with 7,000 pounds, centered
You'd
on
have
a
an
spoiler
organ factor.
right here, I don't have
Yeah.
the neck strength to just say, get at me, bro.
You'd have so many more facial fractures because of the force of that. It wouldn't cause a small cut. That is none of this
His
makes
orbital
sense.
bone would be shattered.
Well,
The
he'd
Undertaker.
probably lose an eye.
Okay.
The Undertaker, a famous wrestler, had another wrestler called Mo. Funny enough, they have like this butt drop where they just kick their legs out. It's probably something for fat guys, and they supposed to land on their chest and make it look kind of like they hit them in the face. He broke the Undertaker's orbital bone by landing on him. He was a fat guy weighing 300 pounds or 400 pounds. I don't know how much he weighed. But you're telling me
I know, but the ER
7,000
doctor-
pounds just gave him a swollen.
So I do think Jedi Jess makes a good point. For the Pro Karen Reed, you do have an exemplar. You have John basically in form with his clothing on, with everything. And if you are a anti-Karen Reed, he's showing the paint. He's showing us stupid, Pro Karen Reed, how you could get the. So I think this will be very convincing unless he gets over hit with his cross for some of the anti-Karens.
Well, yeah,
It will be-
because
well,
once
they
Arthur
don't
comes up
care.
and says,
Well,
They
yeah,
don't
I
care.
know.
They believe Trooper Paul was right, and this guy said Trooper Paul was absolutely wrong. That
just-
doesn't mean anything. But
Baker,
the problem
how do
is, how the fuck did it cut his hoodie open and scratch his arm while slapping him in the face and spinning him around, round, baby, round, round?
Baker, how can they have a trigger event, not know any GD where that it happened, but still tell you that it totally happened? Again, they have no evidence other than
And, yeah.
But they're like, trust me, bro. We don't know where he land or how he landed there. We don't know where the impact happened. We can't do a reconstruction, so I'm gonna have me dress up as John and put blue paint on. It is.
Brian, the science. Can you do a quick impact just calculation of what it would do to your orbital bone if you got smacked in the face with 7,000 pounds moving at 24.3 miles per hour. Because I'm pretty sure a little cut to the nose, isn't it? Let's
Also-
let's soldier
Yeah,
through
let's
this
just
because this is stupid.
Sustain.
Thank you.
How tall was Mr. O'Keefe?
73 inches tall, 6'1".
And how high was that wing from the ground on the back of the Lexus?
It was about,
I hope not. Stay on the wagon.
Yeah. We're
it's
rooting for
about
you.
5 feet 11 inches, maybe 5 feet 10 and a half.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maybe, again, this is not science. Science is not maybe. Unless you're in quantum physics, and then no one understands that, or at least I
Did you
don't.
notice anything about Mr. O'Keefe's right knee?
I noticed there was a half centimeter abrasion on the right lateral knee.
A
Did you know
half
how high
centimeter?
from the foot that bruise was on his knee?
We don't know the exact length of his knee. The abrasion appears to be right here at knee level. If you go back and look at where my knee is, that would be at the proximal level of the bumper.
Could you focus on the bumper?
No,
No,
you can't
Baker,
say
stop.
that because
You don't have the
people's
same
body
leg length
parts
and
are,
left you.
might be longer than each
So
other.
my knee is approximately right
So
here.
stupid.
Baker's
Because they're the
This is
same
the
no.
height.
The side of
I
Mr.
know.
O'Keefe's knee would be in this general area.
Give me swear money and I'll swear.
You're welcome.
Baker's gone.
So do you have an
He's
opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty about the lacerations on Mr. O'Keefe's right arm and forearm regarding its
Baker's out in
orientation
his
relative
HOA
to
just screaming in the back lot.
broken taillight on the defendant's Lexus?
You might have like
I'm never
stocky,
gonna-
stubby legs.
The location
Yeah,
orientation of the
that's the
laceration
problem.
on
They
John
might
O'Keefe's
not be
right
the same
forearm and
pant
arm are
length.
consistent
They
with the
could-
geometry and orientation of
None
the
of
right
this-
taillight of the Reed 2021 Lexus LX570.
Make
After
it
considering these
stop.
three different subjects that we discussed, the tech stream data, analyzing the touching between the defendant's Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe's car, and then your demonstrations regarding the injury to Mr. O'Keefe's right arm, did you consider further
This is
evidence in
insane.
reaching any conclusions as an active
Absolutely
reconstructionist
insane.
and a biomechanical engineer?
Yes.
None of this makes
I did.
math.
Could you
None of
turn us
this.
to slide 124?
Thank you, T-Rex Trucking. I really want to hear Mo start screaming
So this
profanities.
is some of the location
Well-
of the physical evidence.
Where is it?
Ooh, show us the distances, please.
Yeah, please show me
Yes.
how he flew.
Red plastic, clear plastic. There, his point of rest was indicated to be 7 feet off the roadway. There was a sneaker that was found near the curb.
We think.
We think.
There were various fragments of taillight found in the snow on the morning of the incident, actually the afternoon of the incident.
Could you zoom in on those photos so that we can see the dates?
The date?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
She read it. She read it.
Yes. I'm getting into heifer mode so I can curse.
That's unusual.
So January 29th at 5:46 p.m. This one's at 5:52.
It's not if your favorite curse word is thunder C word.
One's at 5:59. This one down here is at 5:46. So there were various fragments of the taillight that were ultimately pieced back together and determined to be from Miss Reed's right rear taillight.
Okay.
Additional
and
evidence was
just
found
Giant pieces found 27 days
on the,
later.
again, the afternoon of the accident, again, around 5:50 p.m.
Could you zoom in, please, for us?
Sure. So what you see here is was later identified as Mr. O'Keefe's right shoe.
And this slide number, Dr. Welcher?
Yes, ma'am. 127.
Could you show us the time and date, please?
January 29th at 5:50 p.m.
Yes, Farrell, this is still direct.
So a series of photographs. Again, you can see on the right-hand photograph that this is the roadway. This is the curb. The grass will be up towards the top of the right image on slide 127. The shoe was found up against in the roadway, up against the edge of the curb.
That shoe looks like somebody just
Baseball
put it there, bro. Who are you trying
yeah.
to kid?
Fired up. Same baseball
Yeah.
hat. Baseball hat was also found in the snow.
Where?
You can see.
I want you, before you move ahead, the baseball hat, could you give us a close-up view and also the date and time?
So that's where it's buried in the snow.
Why is he?
These were taken on February 3rd. I'm not sure what time it was.
Why is he
There was
validating
also
the evidence?
red liquid
photos?
identified. They indicated to be blood in the snow.
Does it came into
Because
play for his
he's
determination?
he's gonna earn his money. What the hell is any of this actual nonsense? Part of me thinks that Trooper Paul was better. At this point, yes, we don't know when she hit him, but she hit him exactly at that point.
No,
Yeah.
this is all tricks, smokes and
Gonna
mirrors,
sustain that
Penn and
objection and
Teller,
All of it
Siegfried
is.
and Roy.
Last part.
Yeah.
We don't need to come to side part, right?
This
Just
dude
describe
was
the color that you
assigned
saw rather
with
than what it was.
making this.
Bev is saying
There
we
was
don't
red
need to come to
coloration in the snow.
sidebar
Can you give us that
again.
date if it's different than?
No,
February
she
3rd?
said
I thought that was February 3rd as well.
I take the
On
objection.
the photograph to the left.
Ah,
I don't see
man
one.
has me taking my hair, taking it out of my hair.
Do you know if those photos were taken by the Canton Police Department?
System.
Do you know when exactly those photos were taken?
I don't, except I have them dated as February 3rd. But I think that may just be the baseball hat photos.
Okay, can you continue?
He has no idea.
Then we have photos of a broken glass, surrounded by red marks in the snow.
Where in the snow? On what? Compared to what?
This, by the way, is the flagpole.
And that's slide number.
That's not
Yes,
a
ma'am,
flagpole.
129.
No, that's a. God,
That,
why
that's
is it-
then my penis is the size of a Coke can. If this is a
I
flagpole,
have pics, can confirm. No, I'm just kidding. And thank you, Vince Clortho, for being a member for 6 months. Was the shoe on a little nap or the little map? No, I
Yes.
don't think so. Or yes.
well, it was on the
Sorry.
map we saw yesterday with Trooper Paul.
You guys, no idea.
Slide 130.
Can you enlarge that and explain to us what that is?
Sure. So at the bottom,
What
it
in
indicates where
the-
it's from. So this was from a presentation I gave looking at pedestrian injury biomechanics back in 2005. And what it's showing is what are the most common injuries in pedestrian impacts. So what it shows is head
The
injuries
entire
are
body.
the most common injury in pedestrian impacts. So on the right-hand side, it's all injuries. You can see of all the individual study, the highest prevalence or highest or most common injury was head injuries. In those,
Yes, but the
And
leg still has a
what
very
is
high
actually the
prevalence.
lowest is arm
Wait,
injuries.
Yeah.
It's a head injury if the car hits your head.
This
That's
is the dumbest
that's
thing I've
probably if
ever
the car
seen.
hits the head.
This anatomical picture, so this is anatomical position when you stand and your palms are facing forward. This is the worst anatomical sketch I've ever seen. He has scoliosis, an enlarged spine, hydrocephaly.
Well, this is post car accident.
He's,
Notice
I mean,
notice
what?
that
he looks
there's
like Tutankhamun. Jeez.
7.2% of every car accident has arm injuries. 38.7 and 20. That's a significant number who have leg injuries. Well, pelvic injuries is almost 3 times as high as arm injuries. But in this case, we have to believe he got a 0.5 centimeter abrasion on his knee.
Y'all.
Hey, that's a leg injury. That's a leg.
I'm not even sure if that's a. It looked like an old bruise. It didn't even look
Yeah,
like
it looked like a cigarette burn, to be really honest with you.
There's no effing way that this guy wasn't given a predetermined outcome by the Commonwealth. They told him what they want him to prove. Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe with the
Absolutely.
car. I have no doubt. He was
Yeah.
allowed to do whatever he wanted, and he just he followed the science, and the science led him to say that
Well,
he got hit in the face, didn't die from that. But the
Did you-
arm injuries spun him right round, baby, right round. Popcorn
Yeah,
fun for
and-
tomorrow's cross. Thank you, Danny
Did
T.
you guys catch that Aperture is really friendly with insurance companies? In fact, to the point where they're getting sued for maybe some, miscalculation of numbers towards the insurance company's point. So while this man is, screaming integrity like Randy Marshall, thought this was America, I got integrity. They have a little bit of a spotty record, not to mention Aperture again. As soon as you lie to me, I don't trust you. Aperture lied about their qualifications. I'm going to go stop World War III.
Jess, this is the total. On the right is the total number of, or the percentage of injuries to the body, I think. Does it add up? This on the left is injuries frequent, severe, life-threatening, fatal injuries. Injury frequency, all injury severities. So that 9.6 just means 9.6% of the time they had hand injuries, but it's only 0.1% that has fatal hand injuries. I don't want to be that 0.1% who had a fatal hand injury. Imagine
have a
coming up to
fatal
St. Peter's and say, "Hey, what happened to you? My hand got hit by a car." What?
Maybe
You must be a pussy.
Maybe it got removed completely and it was an arterial spurting.
Yeah,
effect.
you just bled out. You were
Maybe.
doing something really cool, like saving a kid from a gator, and
That sustained severe life-threatening injuries. Again, the highest was also head injuries. So head injuries are very commonly associated with pedestrian impacts.
Were they the same as the slip and fall?
This
injuries
is
with the
anatomical
neurosurgical
drawings, just to
stuff?
help you understand the anatomy.
you are not a doctor.
The middle section here is from Mr. O'Keefe's autopsy report. The lower right diagram, the green line represents the fracture lines, predominantly here, at least in the base of the skull. So in the biomechanical and forensics just means the legal-related scientific industry, there's something called hat brim line or hat line analysis. And what it is it's looking at where the hat line you can imagine is where the brim of a hat would be. And what it is, it's literature that's looking at where head injuries from falls commonly occur.
Your Honor, I move to strike that.
I'll strike, I'm going to strike. Strike,
Removed from the screen.
yes, yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Nope.
So that was slide 130.
Well, he did
No,
take
that was 132.
anatomic classes.
Take action.
Your Honor, one more request to agree to this. Do not take that into consideration.
So jurors, when I strike something, that means no.
Thank you, Fuba.
This is the next slide.
That was great. Thank you, Baker. I needed that.
If you can
'Cause
continue.
No,
my-
thank Fuba. Fuba
So I
made
provided
this.
peer-reviewed scientific
That was
literature
good.
Fubar,
look
I
at a metric
love you. You're my
where
best
they were
friend. Thank you
publishing
for making this.
research trying to
That was
delineate
good.
falls versus blows or assaults. And so this metric is in that scientific literature. They looked at a total of 400 different events, 235 falls, 165 assaults. And so you
That's
can
not
see
a big enough
where it says mandible. So mandible is your lower
sampling
jaw.
group.
Can you enlarge that a little bit, please?
Your Honor, pardon the interruption. I'm moving to strike.
He's
Yeah,
not
let's
a
take that slide down. I'm
doctor.
going to see you inside, please.
Yeah, what is this guy
He's
testifying
not a
to
doctor. So basically he's trying to disprove that this was an assault.
here? This is amazing.
Yes. Absolutely.
Maybe this will make it better.
Is that the back of Mr. Wolf?
Ooh, Mr. Wolf is a tall one. You grow a beard and hide that chin,
So it's
sir.
back
You're
on page
gonna get the
124?
babes.
Is that right, Mr. Brennan and Mr. Lessie?
Maybe ditch the
Dr.
weird
Welcher, is that where
bowl
it's
cut
at?
thing.
That appears to be going. Yes.
Yeah,
124.
that too.
No, 123, I have. I actually have 122 is already redacted, but I have 123.
Right, I don't have it on 123.
123. was
Oh
the
my
blank slide.
God, they didn't have the
Yeah,
slides.
123 is a blank slide.
So
So from
124.
triple M, you do not have.
Tiny baby Jesus, call time, Bev.
124 through 138, is that accurate, counsel?
I have some guy called Jeff. I don't know. It's 82 feet from the flagpole to the driveway. I don't know how long Higgins' Jeep is, but if she went 34 feet past the flagpole, then there's still time to stop. The other option is that they are simply lying about this data. They just made it up. Is that your argument? I said, so you agree she would hit Higgins' Drop? You know cars don't stop instantly.
Yeah.
It's
Dummy.
then it would have to have stopped in less than 30 feet.
It was still accelerating. It was still accelerating.
Yeah, it was Tokyo drifting as far as they
Can you
knew.
do
She was
that
going to
for
keep
us,
pushing on the
Dr.
pedal.
Welcher?
I'm doing it right now.
We can bring the jurors back.
Your Honor, if we could just, now I just want to look at the rest.
Okay.
2 minutes, and then
Sure.
Your Honor has to-
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think he can testify to anything medical because he's not a doctor. I think what he was trying to do is analyze the difference in injuries between assaults and car impacts, and he's not qualified to opine on any of that. He's not an assault expert. He's not a trauma doctor. He's not a pathologist.
Not on the record, Chris.
Good catch, Alessi, so we don't have to deal with this crap. Now, this is devastating to the state because now they can't bring in this evidence that it totally wasn't an assault and it was totally the tail fin.
Your Honor, Mr. Brennan, give me permission to confer with Dr. Welker about.
Sure, and it won't be on the record, right?
Yes.
Do we need it on the record?
No, thank you.
Yes, sir.
As Daryl Brooks, on the record for the record. Can we run the record back? JKD Buck, the doctor, or
You struck one slide. I'm sorry. Two.
I want to use all unsavory words from the 90s right now, but YouTube wouldn't be happy with me. Yeah,
yeah, believe me, my 90s kid is wanting to break free like Reptar. But I'm keeping it tucked in like as told by Ginger.
Dr. Welcher, if you could return to slide 132.
Can you turn to the microphone?
133, Dr. Welcher.
Is that me or? $132 or $133?
133, please. The next one after that.
So we did skip over 132.
We skipped over that one as well.
What in the tism is going on here?
If you can enlarge that just a little bit for us.
Sure.
Now, you mentioned that there were studies that talk about guiding the difference between potential injuries.
Correct.
Can you explain that?
Sure. So I gave 3 papers and someone's dissertation on this issue. They were creating a analysis methodology to differentiate whether the nature and pattern of injuries are more consistent with a fall or more consistent with an assault, or they're calling it blows.
Okay, could you walk us through
So
it?
he
Sorry.
read
So this
someone's
is their flowchart.
dissertation?
In terms of their assessment. So it starts at the very top. You can see they analyze a total of 400 events, 235 falls, 165 blows or assaults. So what you do is you ask yourself on the first set of arrows, you look at the mandible, the jaw. And MRS, as you can see at the bottom down here, refers to a simple fracture or multiple fractures. A is no fracture. Mr. O'Keefe has no mandible fracture. So that means we go down this row. It then looks at all facial fractures. So these are the bones that constitute the face. So if you have a facial fracture, you go to your left. If you have no facial fracture, you go to the right. So if you have some event, no mandible fracture, no facial fracture, what they've indicated that is predominantly associated with falls and not assaults.
Thank you.
You're welcome. From
In addition, did you do any
400.
further
So
study
someone's graduate
on force of a
paper
person falling
said
back
something
landing on
with
the
a
head?
group of less
did.
than 500 and
So,
you took it as gospel?
What I did was I did what are called drop test. I took an anthropomorphic test device, ATD, which is just a fancy name for a crash test dummy, and dropped it backwards onto a hard surface to look at what happens if you were to say fall backwards
What
and
in
get your
the
head
name
onto a
of
hard surface.
Mythbusters on
So on this particular
crystal is
photograph
this?
of Mr. O'Keefe in the upper left, there's noted to be
This is
abrasions
stupid.
above the fracture line in the area.
This is Canadian
it's a little,
heroin swap meat,
you just
stupid.
see-
That's a
noted to be
deep cut.
abrasions right here. Your Honor, I brought a hat. That was one I used in my testing. May I put it on and demonstrate something?
Oh my God, do not put the hat. He brought the hat.
Are you objecting? That's a statement.
So, I will show you the dummy testing I did. Watch when the shoulders hit the ground and the head hits the ground, creates kind of an arc path that will drag and slide objects up the head. If you have something such as a baseball hat, it'll cause it to drag across the scalp, dragging it up to a similar location to where these abrasions are. So here's the testing. Again, this is it's crash test dummies you see on television. This is myself. He's giving me similar instructions, telling him what we're going to do.
Why is your hand on its butt, sir?
Shoulders come in, then the head contacts the ground. What you see is if you fall backwards and land on a very hard surface or hard surface,
But
you'll get extremely high.
where's the spin
blows
move?
on the head.
Yeah, where's this torque? How did he get his little knee
If you compare
bump?
that
I
to
mean,
data in the side,
From the side swipe, how is he landing perfectly backwards, sir? How is this
this chart
happening?
up here.
what
Well,
is-
he did the little jig and running around checking his phone, and then he. Whoa.
So this is actually kind of a famous study that was published. One of the first studies looking at head fracture
Why is
or skull
this
fracture
happening?
tolerances.
What is going on?
So what you
here?
see, the portion at the back of your skull is called the occiput bone.
Was that what
So
you
that
said?
bone, if you put your hand in the back of your head, is your
Did you
occiput.
say occiput
We're looking
boner?
at occiput impacts. And
Let's
what
go
you can
back
see
and
is
make-
that when they took cadaver skulls
Exactly, Mo.
and
I
dropped
thought
them
what
from as low as
did
40 inches.
this guy get his degree from watching a few seasons of Mythbusters?
Well, it's so Baker, here's the take I get on it. These are fields that he is not quite, knowledgeable in. The state said, I want you to prove this, this, and this wrong. He, regardless of what he said, the fact that he has zeroed in on everything the state wants him to prove, and he's gotten all of the
Coincidence.
evidence. And the fact that, I'm sorry, but how many times as a crash, reconstructionist, do you have no effing clue where in the Narnia this man got hit? I am so flippin' flapjack tired of this. If you are an effing expert, if you are an expert, I expect you to do math. I expect you to explain it to me. I expect you to have a little animation. I do not expect you to smurf yourself. This is the shit I expect from my youngest, most feral. Yeah, I tied my bike to my brother's roller skates, and we decided to launch ourselves off a ramp we built with 2 nails and a 2x4. This is the kind of BS that I expect my boys to do. Although I
This
can't
is-
let them watch
this
this
is what
video because if they
confirmation
paint the
bias
car
is.
blue, I am going to hurt myself.
This is confirmation bias. Instead of asking, hey, could it have happened? They have told him, prove it happened. And that's confirmation biase.
That's how this
Also,
went,
Can
right?
we
It was,
DNA
hey,
test
we got this
that
pedestrian
test
crash
dummy?
that we
I
need
think
you
he
to
might
prove
have some
for us.
stains. I'm just
Fear number
throwing that
3,
out
it
there.
is also, wasn't ARCA permitted from medically related findings last year or speaking about it at all? Yes, because
Yes.
they were not medically trained, but this guy is the magic man. But it's
Onto
stupid.
a hard surface, they were getting linear fractures. And you can see even at 40 inches, it was called a stellate fracture. Stellate means star-like. You get a fracture that goes out like a star. So even at a 40-inch drop height, you have sufficient force when landing on a hard surface to cause skull fracture and a level
Was
3
the
type
ground
skull fracture.
frozen?
So
No.
Mr. O'Keefe, again, is 73 inches tall. His occiput is about 4.6 inches down from the top of his skull. That means it would fall a total of about 73 minus 5 would be 68. So just under 6 feet. So 72, 4 inches under. So 5 foot, 8 inches is the fall height. What is data showing that even at a fall height as low as 40 inches onto a hard surface, you can get fairly severe skull fractures.
Like a stair?
Dr. Welcher, regarding your
Like
third part
a-
of your analysis, did you come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether or not the defendant's Lexus collided with Mr. John O'Keefe on the evening of January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Oh, he found the microphone.
Before you give me your opinion, I'd like you to share with the jury what that opinion is based on.
Sure. So based on the 130 slides you've seen, based on my personal
All this
inspection
shit
of the
I made
Lexus,
up.
a correlation of the tech stream data
My
with
Smurf?
the infotainment data, as well as Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone data. It's looking at, I guess, where the taillight wasn't broken. It's looking at the physical evidence at the scene in terms of taillight fragments, glass fragments, red color in the snow. We have the cell phone data.
So everything the cops fed
The
me.
location and position of the arm lacerations, the air temperature at the time indicative of sufficient to freeze,
Are you a
the
meteorologist?
location of the fracture on the
or a
back of his head relative to the
hypermeteorologist?
scientific literature, my testing
don't
of
think so.
forces available falling onto a hard surface, published science on the fracture forces associated with falls.
Just hurry up and get done with your
I'm sorry, I'm reading my
conclusion
report.
so we can get to Alessi.
I'm reading from my report.
Can you answer
You're
all
reading
the-
from your report?
Probably it's more complete if I read my report.
the objections?
Bev,
I do, on this question, you know, reading from a report to this question, so I'm going to go through some data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Welch, let me ask you again. Based on your analysis, data available reviews, study, based on the fact that you are an accident reconstructionist and a biomedical engineer, have you reached an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether the defendant's Lexus struck Mr. John O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Yes.
Could you share the bases of your opinion before I ask you your ultimate opinion?
Sure. So again, you've seen my slide presentation.
You don't
I
have
don't give a
bases. You have
shoot
basis.
for about your.
I've inspected the
your-
Lexus. I've looked at where it wasn't damaged. I've inspected the taillight. I got an exemplar Lexus. I ran lower speed contacts to verify that the injury pattern and location on the arm is consistent with the height and orientation of the taillight. I have looked at fracture tolerance data for falling backwards onto hard surfaces.
Yeah, but did you look
I've looked
at
at the
hardness
metrics
to
of where
explode the
his injuries were and
taillight?
what injuries he didn't sustain. I've looked at the cell phone data, and then I've looked at Miss Reed's interviews as well.
Based on all the
Over
evidence you considered,
interviews.
could you share with the jury what your opinion is to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty about whether the defendant's Lexus struck Mr. O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Objection, Your Honor.
I can answer.
Yes, based on the totality of the evidence, DNA, everything I talked about, that is consistent with that happening with a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. That is what happened.
DNA.
Objection, move to strike, Your Honor.
DNA?
What DNA?
Yeah.
Or DNA.
There's no DNA on any part of the car. Like, what?
Oh,
It was a hair.
actually, hey, Valhalla, Wolf changed his haircut a bit.
Oh, you did.
Ooh, trying to be
You
all
got trimmed
smexy.
up a little. All right. I'm
Trying
here
to
for it,
seduce me
buddy.
with your computer skills. I see how you are, Mr. Wolf.
Hey, I've never missed Mr. Wolf so much as when this guy was
Oh,
running
yeah.
the computer today. This was
Yeah.
cool.
Yes, Mr. Wolf is on top of it. And if he would work for
He
Hot
never
Pockets-
mentioned why he's using DNA. I based it on what DNA?
What DNA?
He
Touch
never
DNA.
you touch DNA on what? Again, we know there was DNA on the hair, and we know that there was a lot of DNA everywhere. But where in? I don't know. Drunk people are less rigid than sober people. Did the crash test dummy just pushed over account for that because it would make a difference and the impact with the ground would happen?
It's true, actually.
And
Okay.
again,
It's true. A lot of
he
times.
didn't even
a lot of
account
times-
for. He claimed he would be he would be landing on his side before he landed flat back. There's no
Okay.
way if you are sent into a twirl that you'll do a flat back bump. It just doesn't happen.
Okay, you guys, I think we're looking at this all wrong because now we get to see a picture of Cannon Daddy. In my head, Cannon, he's shirtless, but he's going to be putting blue paint on too. So just wait for Arca. The guy who wandered in between all the bald guys for a seminar is really confused why he's here right now. He's twirling his thumbs. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
I thought it
sitting there
was...
thinking, I shouldn't have come.
Yeah.
I
Just
was
like the
told there
rest
would
of
be.
us.
Told there would be pizza.
Pretty much.
I mean, I've got the
He's hiding
But-
from ice.
Again, the Commonwealth do what they shouldn't do. I know they're going to go home and think about it. You're going to get an Alessi who's going to spend 8 hours going through
Yeah.
each. This has been 4 hours of streaming today, maybe 3 hours of.
Yes.
He's going to go back and watch all of this at 1.5 speed, and then he's just going to do, oh, and then he's going to come back tomorrow and he's saying, hey, sadly, Diddy bought all the baby oil, but I'm going to ream you harder than that chick who got rammed by 1,000 dudes.
Well, yeah, to be fair, he's going to ram them harder than they do that test dummy because that was some inappropriate touching. Like, hashtag pound me too. That dummy needs representation by Gloria Allred because that was some inappropriate touching.
There was so much touching that even Wendy Murphy said, hey,
Yeah, but they
I'm
were
going to
face
support
to
this guy.
face too. Like they were, and he touched the butt. Like, why would you? Like, I just hold at the shoulders. I wouldn't, touch the buttular area of my crash test dummy. But no, he was.
I'm
like
just
second base.
I'm just saying, not that if any of you are coming to Knoxville, this is exactly how Valhalla gives a hug. With a little, you just get a double squeeze.
That was just you, buddy. That was just you.
Oh, I thought you said, oh, that's
No.
how I do, because I said, hey, no, that's American. Oh, kind of like the friends
Someone
where
tell the newly bald guy to put some sunblock on his dome because that's gonna hurt comes this summer. He's gonna go outside next. He's newly bald next to Paul. You can tell he's all pale on the top of his skin or on top of his head. He's gonna need to get some sunblock.
this guy over here, you can't really see him because of but it looks like he has blonde hair. That's gonna be it's none of this as well.
He's just
Why
gonna
does that guy
turn
in the
into
front
a.
look like RFK?
He kind of does.
A little bit.
I'm trying to figure out who the guy in the full suit reminds me of because he reminds me of someone.
He looks like an
Wilbur
Indian politician
Valderrama.
I've seen on TV.
He looks like Wilbur Valderrama from that 70s show.
Oh my gosh, he does. Because his hair is so Lego-like.
Fez.
That is some
Yep.
Lego hair right there. Sir, I appreciate it. You got a full thick head of hair, but it looks like Lego.
Yes, he did. He said he observed them, and that was part of his decision-making process.
Yeah, he saw all of them.
Good Lord.
Oh, this is who all the Boyle guys is. It's Blue Man Group. They're there to support
Wow.
the newest member.
They're like, dun, 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 dun.
They're pissed off. They got a paint
They were
shortage
just
because
told,
all this
"Hey."
guy's stupid tests.
Yeah, they're there to sue him for, hey, you ruin our business.
Oh my gosh, look at that reporter. She is my spirit animal right now. She was just like,
What?
Okay, so those same cautions, please do not discuss this case. with
Shut
anyone.
down.
Don't do any independent research or investigation.
Yeah, she had all the evidence that the people had.
If you see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. And please be very careful with your social media.
Maybe a little.
Did he finish?
I guess we're finished.
Well,
Oh, I'm
I don't
sorry,
know if
we're
there's going to
starting
be
an
a
hour late
sidebar
tomorrow,
after.
so-
Let's stick around and see what happens.
Yeah.
She said we're starting an hour late tomorrow. Start at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
What?
So we're going to start at 10:30.
Court officers will tell you
11.
That's the earliest.
I'd like to put
Well-
$1 on 11. I don't know what an over-under is, but sign me up.
So what we gather from this is Alexis hitting at Traverse doesn't do anything. But Alexis hitting an arm shatters a tail light. Doesn't touch any part. Well, does touch his and gives him a hematoma on the eye, but doesn't do anything else. How stupid!
Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, I'm gonna have what here? Brendan, social media review, please. Still got beer left. Well, we're gonna have a what here, I think.
Dr. Welcher,
Dr. Welcher can step down. I know he has to come back and have his
So just
equipment.
leave everything here.
And then you'll come back in 5 minutes.
Roger.
All right.
Oh, come on, Bev.
Please. All right, so Mr. Alessi, I will hear you as to your objection.
And keep it shorter, Leslie, because she's already effing tired of
Yeah,
this day.
she's checked out halfway. Keep it short.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you like me to go to the podium or stand?
Right there's fine, and let's try and wrap this all up by 4 because I've already heard you at sidebar.
Really bad.
That means both of you will
5
hear
minutes?
from within the next 5 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Alessi.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Shut up.
The
You were just at a 5-day
point is the question of whether, based on a reasonable degree of scientific evidence or certainty, he has an opinion whether a collision occurred. I'm going to give a dramatic and accurate example that happens in courts all the time equivalent. So, by analogy, if the issue is whether or not a defendant has stabbed an individual and caused a certain event, that is the ultimate question for the jury. That question is never permissible in a trial. By analogy, this is the exact analogous situation. The question of whether there was a collision is the ultimate question for the jury. That is why we are having this trial. The defense strongly asserts there was no collision, and there is substantial evidence to that. We are going to cross-examine Dr. Welcher. We are going to put in our own strong case to demonstrate no collision occurred. That's no surprise. It was in our opening statement. This witness cannot, by precedent for years, opine on the ultimate question that is going to the jury. I accept, subject to evidentiary issues, the two questions that a biomechanist always answers in these situations. Is the damage to the vehicle consistent with a pedestrian hitting the vehicle? And are the injuries to the individual consistent with being hit by a motor vehicle? Those are the questions that are permissible, not the collision question. It is resoundingly improper in this trial, in any trial where that is the ultimate conclusion for the jury. Yes, an expert can offer opinions, but every expert is bounded by the extent of their opinion, and that opinion on whether there was a collision would invade the province of the jury and the whole purpose why we are here, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
So what Mr. Lisi is arguing is that in their opening statement, they repeatedly invaded the province of the jury because they must have asserted vehemently over and over again there was no collision.
Opening statements
Over and
aren't
over again.
evidence, you twat.
And he just told you that when his expert takes the stand, they'll have abundant evidence that there was no collision. This case is about the collision, but that is not the ultimate issue. The ultimate issue
Yes, it
is manslaughter or mens rea for second-degree murder, not collision. They don't get to define the prosecution's case. They do not get to define or limit the prosecution's opinions. They have no case law. They have no study. They have no jurisdiction or jurisprudence to say what we are limited to. He's entitled to an opinion. His opinion is not limited to whether or not the defendant struck Mr. O'Keefe. That evidence is obvious. It's not whether or not there's damage to the car
Obvious.
or Lexus.
What?
That evidence is obvious. He also is an enormous part of a biomedical engineer and an accident reconstructionist. He studied the tech stream data. They didn't, he did. And he's entitled to give an opinion. The tech stream data, based on fact and science and data, tells us when, if you put it together with other evidence,
No,
and where when you
No, it
with other
didn't. He said he
No.
can't tell when.
he directly said on the stand he can't tell you when
He can't tell
she
you.
struck him. This is why I hate this effing guy, because he is
He's terrible.
constantly lying and making up assertions about what the defense said.
Mommy Bev, help me. Mommy Bev, help me. Help.
This
Help.
he his own expert says there's no way I can say it, and I can get a myriad of possibilities, and he says there is no doubt. Fuck this guy.
This collision actually occurred. We don't have to play peekaboo and close our eyes to the reality of the fact that the evidence supports the conclusion to
No,
a
it
reasonable degree of
doesn't.
engineering
No, it-
certainty that the defendant
even have a
struck
trial?
Mr. O'Keefe with her
Brennan's
Lexus
Brennan's
in front
got
of
it.
Fairview
Might even
Road.
have a trial. Just
I
lock
am
her
for the
not
jury to
objecting
decide.
The defendant. I always refer to her car, so it is sanitized, her Lexus. I've been careful about that. I don't have to, but I'm very careful about it.
You
He
are
is
not
relying
careful about
on
anything.
the tech stream data, the physical evidence, his independent studies. He is allowed to offer an opinion about whether the injuries are consistent with the damage to the car, whether the damage to the car is consistent with the injury to Mr. O'Keefe, and he's also allowed to
The
answer.
fact finder is
in
not
his
this
opinion,
guy,
the
it's the
issue
jury.
of a
He
collision. Putting
did
aside
get hit.
the fact that that was emphasized and repeated in the opening statement, and it's going to happen again when other people testify. It's not our fault that ARCA didn't testify or look into the tech stream data, or they don't have an expert for it. It doesn't belittle or limit that evidence. We expect to
doesn't.
ask,
It's bullshit.
Dr.
evidence.
Your
Welcher,
evidence is
does he have an
Tokyo
opinion
time
to a
drift.
reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether the defendant's Lexus collided with Mr. O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m. That is one of the opinions we're going to ask him. Nothing to do with the ultimate opinion of guilt or innocence, or whether it's manslaughter or there's mens rea for second-degree murder.
And what was your second? You said that's one of the opinions you're going to ask him. What else are you
I
looking
will
at?
also ask him about the consistent with, whether the injuries are consistent with.
With what?
I'm going to ask him after this part about the difference between a clip or a side swipe as opposed to a full-on injury, pedestrian collision from a front or back of a bumper. And there are further slides to emphasize that point. And so there'll be an opinion regarding that as well.
And you,
Consistency with a side swipe or a clip.
Okay, so this is not the end of Dr. Welch's testimony. He's just moving on to another area.
It's close, but it's not the end.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Your Honor, here's a case. Attorney Brennan said, go to case law, here it is. Commonwealth v. Coleman, 366.
I knew he was going to do it. I knew he was going to do it.
And it stands for the proposition exactly that I articulated. I will
Alyssa,
read
you just
it.
made my heart go
Secondly,
2
Your
sizes
Honor,
bigger.
we practice what we preach. I have the ARCA report right in front of me, and I have the report of.
Is that a new one or is that
This is the new one.
okay.
It's also, the old one is the same. So either one is the same. They do not, Mr. Brennan incorrectly said what our experts are going to do. I don't know why he did that because he has these in writing. Neither Dr. Wolf or Dr. Rentschler talk about a collision or conclusion. It's consistency. It's those two questions I said at sidebar. And for reference, Your Honor, for the most recent is page 15. There is no.
I don't have that report, so I'd like a copy of that report.
Your Honor, a copy, and I also, Your Honor, refer Your Honor to ARCA's existing report, which I'm going to do from memory. I think is February of 2024 that was done for the U.S. Department of Justice and FBI, where they basically said they gave opinions on those two items I spoke to you at sidebar. So Attorney Brennan is incorrect when he says what our experts are going to say or not. We've already committed in writing to what they're going to say. We're consistent. We practice what we preach.
All right. So we will discuss this tomorrow before we start. I'll tell you my ruling tomorrow before we start. I need to go back and see what exactly came in to evidence today. All right. So I'll see you in the morning.
All right.
Bev's going to have 84 White Claws and say, I'll allow it, state, Mr. Alessi.
She needs to go home and I bet you she needs to go home and study that case law because our boy Alessi doesn't do anything without having his case law. Something Brennan never does.
I have a lot of nerve. There is.
Silk tongue, steel trap, every word a blade. The sweet talk, you're inviting to your grave. Call deadly, A-L-E-S-S-I. Just weapon pays the decree. Sweet word, sharp turn, now you're down on the floor. Brain buster hits and you ain't getting up no more. Call deadly, A-L-E-S-S-I. Logic's his weapon, pain's the decree. Sweet word, sharp turn, now you're down on the floor. Brain buster hits and you ain't getting up no more. He don't yell, he persuades. He don't fight, he invades. Step in the ring and you'll understand. This ain't brawn, this is chess, play my hand. Call deadly, A-L-E-S-S-I. I'm logic like TNT. He'll outthink, out of the making regret. One brain buster later and you're losing that bet.
Amazing.
I thought we needed all of it just for
The
for
Lessinator.
Yes, I need that in my life.
Bev is such an inconsistent bitch. How the F is she allowing this guy to testify on medical injury stuff when he's not a doctor? Well, she didn't in the end. Why is Brennan claiming that Dr. Wolf did not look at the text stream data? Because I don't know, T-Rex, I know this can be... Are you sitting down? Everyone, are you sitting down?
Yes.
Brennan has been known to fib.
Well, he just said that his expert said there was totally a collision, that there is absolutely a collision, that everyone is here knowing it's collision, and we're just trying to guess murder 2 or manslaughter.
But I'm pretty sure that the ARCA people have said that they didn't need any of that stuff, that it didn't matter.
This is a hot take from Jules. Courtroom showdown alert. Hank Brennan versus Robert Alessi going toe-to-toe in the Karen Reed case over crash expert Judd Welch's testimony. Alessi throwing punches, but Brennan, he lands the knockout. We all know how this ends.
Brennan on
Honey
top.
Bunny,
Ew.
I know you don't have to be intelligent to be an anti, but do you know our boy Alessi is coming up tomorrow? He hasn't even laced up his boots yet.
Also, pretty sure Brennan's a power bottom, if I'm being honest.
No, Brennan's a Brennan's a switch. He's a switch. He can be a sub or a dom.
Oh, no, he can't be a dom.
He can't be a dom. He'd be an idiot. No.
He would be
a pup play.
Hey, who has been a naughty girl? Are you calling me a naughty girl? No, sorry, mistress. Sorry. I don't.
Ew. Yeah, no. No one
Girl?
be doms.
Doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be the real switch we didn't encounter.
I doubt it. Oh. Well, I guess the good news is we don't have to be here until 10 tomorrow.
Ooh,
So
extra
tomorrow-
long mornings with Mo.
Yeah.
Extra long mornings with Mo. So you know what you want.
Extended.
You want to snuggle up next to Mo and listen to her voice talking to you about all the nasty news out there.
Hey,
Hank Brennan.
I was really good in Lowe's yesterday, and I didn't make fun of the cock section, although I did want to.
What?
They've got cocks like for bathtub and other stuff. I've
been to a
always-
Spencer and they have cocks.
No,
as
this
well.
is a home improvement store, but I always tell them they have a lovely selection of cocks. But they're caulks, for doors and seams and such. But I didn't
Baker,
today because it embarrasses Mr. Mo.
I don't have any Higgins videos.
Oh, that's terrible, y'all.
Oh, and my new best friend in the world. The debris field is between the flagpole and the fire hydrant. The best argument you have, I don't know, is to put words in my mouth. You prove that you lack critical thinking skills. She didn't hit Higgins deep. She did hit John O'Keefe. I don't have to make shit up. Well, you kind of do, numbnuts, because it's fine that you have a debris field over here, but still, you also have the problem that she would have traveled. I did the math again, 79.6 feet after the last tech stream. If she hit the brakes, that would have been somewhere over here.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say his last name?
Faggot?
Oh,
With a PH?
Fogiui?
No, I think faggot.
Oh, wait, maybe.
okay.
It's a lesser known Portuguese spelling version. They have kind of like the Cyrillic.
I believe it's
So-
pronounced fagua.
Oh, Fagua, yeah. Portuguese. It's
That was the problem. Pronounced it
yeah,
wrong.
it's Fagua.
It was French.
Fagua.
That's
No, Portuguese. Portuguese.
Portuguese. Obrigado. Thank you.
Welcher got a Lexus and a blue and yellow paint on the taxpayer's time. Yeah, he's
Too
a.
much.
I bet you he bought enough to go on tour with the Blue Man Group for a year.
And Slinky, thank you for those 5 gifted memberships. And they went to Linda Early, T-Rex Trucking and More, DeFloofy Cat, Vern Q, and Out and About with Diane. So welcome to the Church of Mo. We have dark chocolate, true crime, and sarcasm. What else do you need?
Do you think he's driving that Lexus around now? You think he's using it
would
as his
be.
personal vehicle? I mean, he taped it up real nice. That blue paint didn't spread. You know what I mean? He took good care of that.
And he didn't break the tail light because
Sure did.
he.
Sure didn't.
So is that why he did all of this? So he didn't have to break the tail light and he could resell it at market
Hey.
value?
Resell, drive home, whatever.
I don't know. Why didn't he do it? He had all these dummies and all these tests. Why didn't he make a test where you could show how
'Cause-
an arm could break a taillight?
Well, because do you know how much he would trash the back of that. It wouldn't just be the tail light gun that he could replace. He would trash the entire back of that car. He's driving that car right now.
I think he
Thank
is.
you, taxpayers of Massachusetts, is what he's thinking every morning when he turns on the car.
Well, because if he does it, it's gonna look stupid because it's not gonna work. And if it
Right now,
does, it's
that
gonna be
Lexus-
like,
Right now, that Lexus is sitting in airport overnight parking with racking up bills until he gets back to
Please,
California.
defense, have someone follow him and find the ID and where we could. You know what's sad is we will probably find the Lexus before we find Cora. we can actually find the Lexus, but we can't find this daggone dog. Dagnabbit.
because the dog is EED. I know how to spell that. I was just
Not touching that one, legendary racer, but thanks for the $5 for Baker.
I need to go watch this because I don't know what came in. And I was like,
look, I might be just a stupid truck driver, but honestly, today was the worst day for the Commonwealth in the past 4 weeks or so. It's almost 5.5 weeks. But yes, I know that, and thank you so much, Jemima, for keeping a critical eye on that she says this could be good because they're showing something, but I still believe tomorrow this guy will be sitting with a inflated donut pillow to take care of the. I'm just saying he's going to stand up on the flight home because his behind is going to be sore.
Let's see about to tear that ass up, y'all.
I don't see Bev stopping or limiting his testimony at all, even if she does go through the whatever she does.
I think she will.
She's been
a lot of the objections. She's gonna struck a lot of the answers rather. She has to, right? Like you can't opine on medical things if you're not an MD. So like she's gonna allow him to testify as much as humanly possible, but she's gonna have to give an instruction or something and be like, listen,
yeah,
and he ain't no doctor.
Dr. Rentschler was not allowed to say, yeah, this is totally, he didn't get this, he got this from a fight. He just said it was inconsistent with every variable that we put in to try to make this accident work. It was inconsistent. That's all he got to say. He didn't get to say, this is utter BS. You guys have made this up. I don't know where in, the Narnia you are, but this is not going to work.
I also really think there's something to my within how the hell has he been saying it? Not scientific reason.
Engineer.
Yeah, there you go. But within a degree of engineering certainty, there's a reason that he's saying that because I've never heard that term before. And I'm pretty sure that voir dire this morning, whatever the hell they were arguing about, resulted in them not being able to say that it was within a scientific degree of certainty. I'm pretty sure that's why.
Jamie, can you read this?
The Twitter post? Welcher makes Wolf look like kind of a clown by comparison. This man is insanely qualified.
Can I read it in Brooklyn?
Stupidest thing I've read.
Welcher makes Wolf look like kind of a clown by comparison. This man is insanely qualified.
Oh my gosh, let me see if I can do this in Masshole. Welcher
What?
makes Wolf
Wait,
look like
wait.
a clown. By comparison,
Wolf?
this man is insanely qualified. Believe that. Hashtag Karen Reed trial too.
Oh my God.
Now I know that's Brooklyn, but I can't do Boston, so it is what it is.
Krusty always have the best takes on the planet.
No, but you literally think Dr. Wolf is a clown compared to this guy? She's a trash
Jamie,
woman.
she got a new couch. She's going to earn that couch. Collision has nothing to do with Karen Reed's guilt or innocent. Did I hear that right? Well, actually, the collision doesn't have anything to do with it. It has to prove mens rea, the will to kill him by the collision. So he's not going to say that it's the collision that killed him. It's her intent to kill him with the car that killed him.
Well, and her intent can also be that she didn't get him help when she knew he was hit. Because the state's operating that she knew he was hit. She left him on the ground. She didn't render aid or get any help, and she drove away. Now, why she would drive away and then send him, voicemails. So she's drunk enough that she's a danger to be on the road, but she's not drunk enough to work on her future alibi by calling him a gajillion and 12 times.
This whole thing is insane. I don't know why we're here.
This makes sense. It's hurting my brainy bits.
Well, now that he's saying that the spoiler busted his eyeball, and then the taillight hit, like all at the same time. Like, think of how ridiculous that sounds. He got hit with the taillight, busted up his arm, and at the same time it scratched him up as he was getting his eyeball knocked out with a spoiler, and then it somehow missed the rest of his body.
And then he was able to somehow fall straight back on the back of the
Yeah. How far away? 15 feet away or whatever it was? I don't even know.
Well, somewhere between 8 and 20.
Yeah.
Keep hold of his phone while he's doing all this triple thing so he can close it.
Oh, yeah. While he's locking his phone, he's got to check Jen's message, before he locks it forever.
LDR says 2 super chats, no dirty words, both unread. Are we in Russia now? Hey, I didn't read the one where you said that Mo liked black cork, because that was in a technical move around the dirty words. I really hope Alessi's opening line of his closing argument is everything this man just said is bullshit. He's not allowed to do that because he can't impeach the trustworthiness of a witness. So I don't think he's allowed to say that. Is it appropriate for Alessi to ask Jughead if the Department of Defense ever hired him to help keep soldiers safe? No, it wouldn't be appropriate.
Can we ask how long it took to take the grease paint off? He came home and his wife's like, what the hell?
Now that we got to see it, and they were complaining, like, Arca's saying they're doing this paint, test. And it made no sense. Now it's like,
now that now that I see what Arca was sent, I can imagine because they probably called Jackson, what in the actual effery is this? And Jackson's like, I don't, Arca's like, we don't ever.
We know from Alessi that they couldn't make head and tail of what they were sent.
Yeah.
That's actually what they said.
It doesn't make any sense. They're just plugging they're finding numbers and then doing weird math things to them and trying to convince you that somehow equates to an event that never took place. It's all bullshit. Everything that they said was bullshit. Oh my God, that guy's an idiot.
We had 8 hours, and then they just said, we don't know where the collision happened, but it totally happened. So,
where the last trial, they said this slight deceleration in speed indicates this is when she hit him.
You guys, to be a fly on the wall when Arca got the Blue Man video.
I was going to say that. I was waiting.
Dr. Wolf and Dr. Rentschler open it up, and they're like, what in the foggiest fuckery is he doing? And
so I'm curious now with Arca if they're going to be able to say to within a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, or if they're going to have to use this new engineering term. I'm curious. We'll see.
I feel like Brennan just made that up.
I think he had to.
It sounded like a stupid Brennan thing.
Oh,
I think he had to this morning.
If you have a blue suit that matches the blue grease paint, please wear it tomorrow. It will heal my soul from today's math.
Only if you've got the elbow pads that are the blue. Like the rest of it's got to be like tweed or something. But if you get the blue, the blue elbow
the blue suede.
I would have that specially made overnight. I don't care the cost. Get it to me.
Ask if you knew that there was a Jeep parked there. Yeah, I would ask that question. And I would say, did you ever estimate the distance it would take her to stop her car? And and then ask, do you know that there was a Jeep parked in the roadway? Is there any triggering event that indicates she slammed into a Jeep? What was the point of all the data if you're just throwing it away? Hey, we don't need data. We have this guy, and he said, yeah, it could have happened at some point, maybe.
So I did, a chat was asking this earlier too, and I don't recall if anybody placed the Jeep there this trial. I know Brian Higgins did last trial, but I don't know if anybody's got the Jeep sitting there this trial.
Nope, there's no Jeep this time.
No,
they
but there
asked
was
Jen
a rock.
McCabe about it, and she said, well, there was some lights on my left. Could be a car, maybe.
Yeah, I
don't
bet
know.
they're going to have to call Brian Higgins. They're going to
Yeah.
have to. And when they do, they're going to ask him where he was parked. And he's going to say, I was parked right there in front of the mailbox. And the whole jury's going to go, wait a second. What do you mean?
Oh, this is interesting. Someone mentioned headline is not a known term in accident reconstruction or medical analysis. And it's true. Wilshire made that F up. Google it and you'll find zero results about it. Thank you.
I believe that.
I remember taking statistics class in college, and the first thing the professor said, well, welcome to statistics, and I like to call it how to lie with numbers. My physics professor said no such thing. Exactly. And remember, everything needs to be replicable to be scientific. This is what science is. Science is postulating something and proving it, and then make sure that someone else can do exactly the same experiment. It's not just hey, because it was kind of cloudy that day, his right arm, and
I did
trust
like
me.
the little the guns out, suns out kind of flex, and how he was, doing the fake.
Yeah.
Now women do that too, but we call them Spanx.
Oy.
Those shapewear, not.
Oy.
I don't know why we're here. I don't know why we're here.
Same. I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say for my breakdown other than what I don't know what happened today. I'm sorry.
What is it?
Bless
Wasn't
you.
it Stalin who said there's lies, big lies, and statistics?
No, that's
Yeah, yeah,
Twain. Mark Twain
That's
there's lies.
it's the same
damn lies, and
communists.
statistics.
Somebody said it.
Mark Twain wasn't a communist. but he
Stalin
is
was a
banned
big
for
fan
some
of Mark
his
Twain,
books.
and he said it.
Makes perfect sense.
Maybe
Didn't Stalin
he
also say
said,
one death is a tragedy, but a
Damn
million
lies.
is a
That's what it
statistic?
was. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. That's what it was.
Well, then what I said was correct. That was Stalin.
We were
He
close
said it.
enough.
He said it in a dacha where he was hanging out with Lenin in 1927.
Hey, anyone
And,
that has the balls to change their names to Man of Steel, I'm with them.
Superman.
And to
did
hide
that.
that he was from Georgia.
Stalin means man of steel.
Yeah. And he also hid the fact that he was from Georgia. He was like, I'm Russian. I'm like, no, you're Georgian.
His name was Durgushvili or something. His last name.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue like Stalin.
Yeah,
if
no
you-
wonder you changed that nonsense.
The phrase is
Yeah,
often
Mr. Hinckley
attributed
Plinky
to.
used to be Jonka Doink, and then he changed it to something shorter.
Oh, it was Benjamin Disraeli, and then popularized by Mike
Oh.
Twain. Oh,
Well, thank you. I love when I learn stuff from chat.
yeah, not the inbred, the other Georgia.
The other Georgia.
One of my favorite sumo wrestlers is from Georgia.
Cool.
He's
What's
I don't
his
watch
name?
much sumo.
Tochinoshkin or something. Tochinoshiki, something like that.
Now I have to see, is he very American or very westernized looking versus all the rest of this?
He
Now I need
looks
to see
moderately
him.
white, yes.
Now I need to see a sumo picture.
Georgia doesn't look moderately white. It's an Eurasian at best.
Tochinoshin. Tochinoshin looks moderately white compared to all of the Japanese guys he fights.
Do you know where Georgia is?
It's in the Middle East.
Right next to Alabama. No, it's in the bloc countries that used to be USSR, but now it's not.
No, whatever. Same thing. Here,
Same
let me show you
difference.
Tochinoshin.
Ooh, I want to see
dude's
this
awesome.
guy.
It's on the right side of the Black Sea.
Yeah, Middle East.
Yeah,
All the
that's
same
what I
shit.
said.
It's
He looks
north
more white
Iran.
than the Japanese guys.
He looks like
He
a
looks
fat Italian.
He's amazing,
does.
y'all.
He
He's
looks
awesome.
like, give me some pasta.
Hey,
He made it all the
prego,
way to,
prego,
like-
can we have some noodles?
He made it all the way to Osaki or whatever, the second rank, like right behind Yokozuna. He was there.
It does look weird when he has chest hair, because generally the
It's
sumo
amazing.
wrestlers don't.
He's good. He makes me happy.
Yeah, today was a lot of battling them with bullshit. You're right, Judy V. But
Yep.
Boar fat? That's horrible. That's funny, but it's horrible. Oh my god.
but Georgia is actually right next to Azerbaijan, where Borat is from.
Yeah, Middle East.
That's Eurasia.
See you
That's not
tomorrow
Middle
because
East.
this is getting stupid. Valhalla and geography is like Dr. Welcher and facts.
Yes, I did examine his lower extremities. That is protocol in any case of suspected impact with a motor vehicle. So I did examine his legs and I did not see any evidence of an impact site.
Just pin it on the girl, right?